to this. It's the start of something new. I think this is the first time we have ever had all these musicians and people in one room in this city. And it's kind of been the vision of mine for the last, turn me up, kind of been the vision of mine for the last 5 years. It's something I've been wanting to put on for this city, for this area, Central Louisiana. And I mean, I appreciate every last person in here, every person that supported, from New Birth, my cousin, Master, Rebirth, you right about that, Rebirth. My cousin, Pam, all my homies, my bros, everybody who came date, everybody, Nick, Chris, I appreciate all y'all, man. Appreciate all y'all. People from Natchitoches, appreciate all y'all. Miss Cindy, she gave me my first start with playing with a community choir. That was my first gig. And yeah, there was some fun times. Matt, Terence, David, man, I appreciate all y'all, man. I don't want to miss nobody. Brian, bro, appreciate you, man. Hey, man, if you want anybody to share your post, he on it every day, man, every day. Son had me every day, and I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the support, for real. Dalen, Rashard, man, I appreciate y'all boys, man, for real, for coming out and supporting and being a part of this. I ain't got too much to say. I really don't have a program. I'm just going by the flow of everything. And I mean, it's just a bonding moment, man, trying to bond, get everybody together, get everybody on the same page. It happens everywhere else, bigger cities, and we got the talent here just like the bigger cities. We got the same amount of talent. And that's kind of why I'm at. First coming to the stage, just go ahead and get it started. I got my pops, Mr. Fred Thomas. Oh, you want to go? Oh, you. Okay, cool. He's, what I got you, Church Sound? Church? He'll tell you. Yeah, Fred Thomas, my pops.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My subject that he got me talking on, I'm gonna sit right here. Thank you. We're all trying to start a new culture here in Central Louisiana, something that hasn't been done before, right? What we'll need, thank you, Dontare, what we'll need is visionary ideas, cooperation, and most of all, finance. Oh, now don't let that stuff on that's been flashing on YouTube about finance get y'all shook, because I talked about money. All this, everything you see here was brought to you by the power of the dollar. Am I right? Okay, for instance, Q's drum set, I have no idea how much money he invested in that. I have no idea, but it's very expensive. These keyboards, these drums, everything, the live stream going back there. It all costs money to maintain. It costs money to maintain a culture. All right, so let's not get shook when Miss Cindy has an event and we have to start paying for it. Oh, it's silent, more silent in here? I mean, because the thing is, in order for us to change things, we have to first change things the way we vision things, the way we look at things. Because everything in the church has been free 99 forever. But now, these guys, Matthew, Terence, you don't know the hours these guys put in, Q, David, to bring you this level of musicality. They take time from their families, their schedules, just to bring you something that you can go home and say, hey, this was enjoyable to me. Miss Cindy been in there doing it for so long. I remember when we worked together when she was doing this, and that's been over 30 years ago. So if Miss Cindy throws a program and says, hey, it's $20 a head, don't get upset. Let's change the way we look at things. Let's change the way we vision giving into churches. It's not we give into the pastor. We're giving into a culture. We're giving into those little kids there. Because guess what? None of us are going to be here forever. So if the music dies with the people in this room, if the choirs die with the people in this room, what these young kids going to have? What kind of culture are they going to have? afterwards. And we all know it's a dying culture. So what are we doing to prop up the next generation? That depends on what we do today. That depends on how we invest and how we see things today. Not as individuals, not as a bunch of scattered churches, but as a collective. Everyone in the city, not just, Zion Hill, not just Macedonia, not just Rebirth, but everyone as a collective. How are we going to start viewing the way we support our people in this music culture? We have to start thinking, okay, what does my church budget look like when it comes to financing the music department? Do I have a line item for continuing education for my musicians, my singers? Do I have a line item for budget upgrades, equipment upgrades, long-term, short-term equipment purchases, bringing in people for seminars? Do I have anything to support the culture that I'm trying to maintain? Or I'm just relying on the same people to keep giving and giving and giving and giving, and yet I'm not giving anything to them or giving anything to create some longevity, because all of us have a time limit of what we can do. And once that time is over, it's up to the next one, but there's nothing left behind that person. If there's nothing left behind that person, we can't give it to these young kids. And I'm glad to see these young kids in there because they need it. Growing up, we were surrounded by music. It was a culture. We always had the little lady in the neighborhood that taught piano, that you had to carry a little red book. Everybody know that little lady. She was but now that's disappearing. And with that, part of our culture and part of our music is disappearing. Great. I love Maverick City. I love all that new stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But every now and then, we need to hear a church choir. We need to hear our expression that's uniquely ours, uniquely not just African, but uniquely our culture as people. And this is the start of it. Let us take names. Let us get to know each other so that when Dayton comes to the church, hey, man, what's going on? Pleased to see you. He's not a stranger. When Tyrik runs through, or Terence, everybody knows Terence. We want to create a culture where we can get these guys to come in and help us, and at the same time, we're knowing that they're going to be compensated for their time. Not that they asked him for it, but it's a show of appreciation. Matt, I remember when Matt was playing drums at, what's that church? Was it Bethlehem? Second Bethlehem. And to see Matt's growth from playing drums to what he's doing now, he's going to tell you more about that. Terence, that little church that's right by the fire station. Yeah, I remember seeing you. I was there. I was working, but I was there. And David Williams, of course, the maestro himself, showed me a lot of things. Showed me some things that, man, this is possible. And that's the thing. Pastor Henry Williams, wherever he's at, these things are possible. We have the people. My brother Kente, been with me forever. And I don't want to say forever, I mean forever. But we have the people to do it. We have the people to put Central Louisiana on the map musically. And if we can do that, then we'll have no problem progressing in our services economically, because it turns to that. So that's all I have to say. That's the intro. I broke the ice. I don't know who's next, but they can have it.
Appreciate it. That's my pops. He showed, taught, everything I know about music comes from him. Everything. I owe everything to him when it comes to this music life, all that. But I appreciate them, for real, for real. Next we got coming up, like I said, I'm just going with the flow, man. I'm going to have David, if you don't mind. Yeah, my bad putting y'all boys on the spot like that, but hey, it comes from the heart better, it seems. Yeah.
Man, appreciate you, bro. Hey, we musicians, we can't worry about being on the spot. That's literally what we do for a living. So it's an honor and a privilege, man. JT, thank you for doing this. First of all, let's give JT a hand, man. So putting something together like this in a town like this, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not easy. Because we all kind of been guilty of being set in our ways. We all get comfortable. That's the thing about Alexandria. It's a cool spot, but it's a complacent spot. So something like this that get us out of our comfort zone, man, kudos to you, bro. So, I know there may be some kinks and stuff that start and happen towards the end, but that's just how the enemy operates when you get close to greatness. He starts to throw things in front of you. All right, so what this is not going to be a presentation, all right? Because I guarantee you that there's somebody sitting on this side that has, if not more information than I have as it relates to production, producing, and getting your music out. I guarantee you that you have just as much, if not more. So we're gonna create a dialogue. We're gonna talk for a minute, okay? And it's a couple things that I want to talk about that I want to give us some ground rules about before we get started. So the things that I want to talk about is finding it, fueling it, and finishing it. Finding it, fueling it, and finishing it. One thing I love about like Brother Fred and Brother Ken and Nagadish and William Hines. Y'all remember those greats? And those gentlemen, they were doing stuff when Matt and I was showing up to churches with our little Casio boards, I'm talking about the Casios with the speakers on the side that you had to put the batteries in. Y'all remember them? When we were showing up, we'd show up and then like the Kens and the Brother Freds they would have these rolling D50s set up with these big old Roland and PV amps. The music was stereo, it was loud. And then we kind of learned from them. And my love for gear, the reason why I'm spending half my check on gear, bro, Fred, is because of you and Ken. I'm gonna be real with you. Yeah, but we had to find, our sound. We had to find what we wanted to do. And in 2025, if I had, I don't want to be the complaining old man. I'll be 45 this year. But if I had to make one complaint, and I hate to be this guy, it's that no one is looking for their sound anymore. First thing we do when we get a song, we should go straight to YouTube. Let me see how somebody else played it. Nah, Negro, you got a sound. You got something individually that God gave you. Let's hear that on the keys. Let's hear that when you sing. We can maintain the character and the structure of a song without going out of bounds, but still implement our sound. So the first thing we want to talk about is finding your sound. Now, what does that sound like? No man is an island in of itself, so you're not going to be the first one to play that chord. You ain't going to be the first one to play that lick. You ain't going to be the first one to play in the key of F sharp or G flat, if you're weird. Yeah. You're not going to be the first one, but it's a collective of all the things you consume, all the music that you've listened to your entire life, everything you've played, everything you love, and it's not limited. You know what I hate? When I was a young kid, we moved to California for a little while, and I played for this church. I'm not going to mention this church, but it's a global church now, and it was a real strict church. And I might have been 12 or 13, Terence. And I got on the keys. My dad is an ex-jazz musician, traveled around the world. But when I got on the keys, I was playing for this church, which is a real traditional church, a real triad church. The only triads, 1, 4, and 5, no sixes. It wasn't no 5, 4, 1 turnarounds. It was just 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5. And I played instead of going to the 1, I played a tritone. We playing a C, so I played a D major over a 1. And the preacher looked at me and stopped church and said, "We are not gonna play that devil music in my church." I was like, "What? You mean to tell me that God has limitations? He give us all these notes, all these different combinations and variations of notes. You mean I'm limited as to what I can play?" Let me tell you, there ain't no limitations. And that's the first thing you need to understand when you find your sound. Don't limit yourself. Don't try to find a specific genre and say, "Oh, this is not a gospel chord. I can't play this in gospel music. I've never heard this in gospel music." That's even more encouragement to play it. Find your sound and don't be limited. Don't be limited. In my house, my son will tell you, I would never limit him. I don't care what he listens to, what he plays. All of that's going to be a part of his collective, and God's going to use all of that to ultimately create something special and specific just for him. Find your sound. How do you find your sound? Let's talk about it, musicians. What do you do to find your sound? Bro Fred, how you find your sound?
I guess I find my sound by looking in both directions. I look to the past, and I try to figure out what hadn't been done yet. You know, I remember back in 1983, I heard something, a sound, granted, I was really very new to it, but I heard a certain instrument, and I'm like, that sound. Little did I know that I didn't know what it was, but I know it was different. I find my sound by looking in both directions. You know, I look to those that were before me, and I try to fashion it around what do I want to do with what I've heard. Wow. You know, looking in both directions, that's basically where I look at it.
Look in the past and in the future and the present. So look in both ways and figuring out a way to join all that together to come up with what you want. Man, that's brilliant. Spoken like a true legend. Let me tell you about Terence before I ask him this question. Now, Terence grew up singing. I mean, I've been knowing Terence since we were little, and I've always heard him sing. I've always heard him play. To me, out of all the musicians I wanted to play like Terence. And the reason why I wanted to play like Terence, we had the privilege of revamping Northwestern's choir, and man, we was killer. We had nothing but killer musicians. Matter of fact, I was with Eddie Hamilton at the track meet Thursday. Is it Hamilton? Eddie, Tanya husband. And we were just reminiscing on how we had so many great musicians, but we all want to play like Terence. Terence, like, he could do licks. I'm not taking nothing from him or selling him short. But James, he wasn't the musician that was going to run up and down the keyboard, even though he can. But he just played the right things at the right time. You feel me? And his sound, everybody wanted his sound. And it's like, it's the chords you already knew. It's not like you didn't have any repertoire. But he just knew how to develop the sound, right? So, man, tell us, how did you get there? Like, what was it about music that encouraged you to kind of sit in a pocket and find out what was better for the sound? How did you get there?
Yeah, you telling our age, man. You started talking about long ago, the olden days. But, I mean, for me, and this translated from me just being a player to being a singer as well, I always wanted to make sure that I was in flow in helping to create the atmosphere that needed to be created for whatever God wanted to do at that time. So even though I could do a lick or I could run, did it make sense in that moment for what I was hearing God say needed to happen? So it came from, my sound really, man, came from a place of humility and kind of being spirit-led, to be honest with you. I took, of course, and gleaned from a lot of different individuals. Man, I gleaned from you. I gleaned from Josh at the time and a whole bunch of Brother Fred. I used to sit there and look at him and be like in awe, you know. But I took from that, like, okay, I'm hearing all these guys play, but what can I do to make sure that I'm in tune with what the Holy Spirit is telling me to do in these moments? So I never wanted to overplay or underplay, but I just always wanted to sit in that pocket of movement to where the Spirit was moving. So with that, man, a lot of people call it musical or being Holy Spirit led. It just kind of it's all encompassing one thing. So that's me. That's how I came.
Did you have to be disciplined to do that?
Had to be very disciplined, because a lot of the stuff I wanted to do, I had to tell myself, was it needed in those moments? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It took a lot of discipline. I tell people a lot of times, even now, because I'm more on the singing spectrum of the equation, a lot of things I do at home, I never do on the stage because it doesn't make sense to do it. Even if that means that, oh, man, you sung this, and no, I could do this, but it doesn't make sense to do. So it comes, again, from a place of humility and discipline, because is it needed for God to do what he wants to do in this moment, at this time, for this reason.
Well said. Thank you for sharing that, man. Appreciate you. How much time I got left, JT? 5 minutes, cool. All right, so we're going to move on. I was going to go to Matt, and I was going to go to James and Q. You got a question? Okay, cool. But I want to go ahead and finish up and move on. So the next thing we talked about finding your sound and figuring out a way to have a signature sound and being disciplined. I love that, man. Discipline. Just because you can do it don't mean you should do it. Man, some of the greatest musicians. I love Victor Wooten. I love him. The greatest bass player to ever touch a bass, right? How many of y'all are running to a Victor Wooten concert, though? Not many, right? We'll go see Thundercat before we see Victor Wooten, right? For real, though, for real. Because, I mean, we appreciate the level of technical skill that these musicians have because they're great. And it's nothing wrong with being trained and being great. But it's all about the sound of your music that comes from your bass or from your instrument, right? Or from your voice. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is fuel it. Find it, then fuel it. You have to make time to shed. Ouch. And this is convicting me first. You got to shed, bro. We got to find time to shed. Get on your axe, get on the keys, and fuel it. You got to give it something so when it's time to produce, you got something in there. You feel me? And this is punching me first because I'm the worst. I get up there and produce all day long. I spend all my time writing, and then I'm doing the same stuff I've been doing. And my sound is the same, and God is not having the opportunity to develop me because I'm not putting nothing in there, right? Older musicians, we bad at this. Youngsters, like James is the definition of shedding. That Negro be shedding. I wish I had your discipline when it comes to shedding. I can't do it. I want to. And Q, I know you want to spend more time shedding, but you producing. It's hard when you sit in front of your gear and you spend most of the time just creating or editing. You know, you kind of get monotonous just going through the back, crossfading here and doing that. Before you know it, 4 hours pass, you're in front of the keys, ain't even touch the keys. You know what I'm saying? So you got to find time to shed. So you got to treat it like a marriage. I don't care how many kids you got, you better spend time with your wife. I don't care how much stuff you doing musically, spend time with your board. Spend time with your acts, all right? So you got to fuel it. The last thing I'm going to say in my last 2 minutes is finish it. Now, I am not the guru on putting music out. I'm not. And I'm not going to lie to you. They fuss at me because I don't perform live and I don't promote my music. I hate Instagram. I hate social media. I hate it with a passion. I don't see how y'all do it. But you got to find a way to finish it. And that consists of so many other things. Look, we great at starting stuff. It's nothing like having an idea and starting to lay the drums down, put the keys down, put the bass on, then taking a 2-track in the car and jamming to it. But finish it. Finish the process. Whatever that takes for the mixing, the mastering process, finish it, bro. All of us got some great babies in us, but we've been pregnant for 32 years. It's time to deliver some of this stuff, man. And it's not just about look, I appreciate the little $200 or $300 I'll be getting from DistroKid. I ain't killing it, but I appreciate it. You know, when I look at my Apple streams and I be like, okay, 3,500 people. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That ain't Snoop. That ain't nothing, but I'm playing for 3,500 people this week. You know what I'm saying? I know it's not a big audience. I know I ain't make millions of dollars, but there's someone that want to listen to what you got. There's somebody, that gift in you, God gave that to you, not for you. God said we were built to serve. The man who thought it not robbery to be God, yet has made himself of no reputation, came to this planet what? To do what? To wash feet. The creator of feet came to wash them. We were put on this earth to serve. The gift that God, the music that God, you robbing God if you're not giving God your best. If you're not leaving this world with what God put in you, you robbing him. Finish it. Don't make no excuses. I got 4 kids, 2 jobs. I teach. God has put me in a lot of positions that I'm grateful for. But I guarantee you, I'm going to make sure I get upstairs and finish my music. Because if it's something you're really passionate about, if it's something you love to do, you're going to make time for it. And if you're not, then maybe you're really not passionate about it. Maybe you don't like it. So I'm going to encourage you, finish your music. I can't wait to hear it. Matt, finish it, bro. You're doing everybody else stuff. I want to hear yours. Your sound is great, bro. It's amazing. It's amazing. And you've been producing, before I knew it was a such thing as production, you've been producing. And I've heard your sound. It's amazing, bro. Don't rob us, Terence. It's time to get off the horse, bro. It's time, bro. James, it's in you. Finish it. Q, you doing everybody else stuff. You got something in you. Can we hear it? Please. It's dope. Everything you do, you take everybody else stuff and make it 20 times better. I want to hear what you got. You feel me? Let's get to work, brothers and ladies. I'm sorry.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. David Michael, man, a little history behind that. I mean, it's with me, with people you link up with and lock up with, it's like day one. It's like you've been knowing them since birth. And since I've been over here, David, Dontare, Pastor Williams, they've been like family, man. And I love y'all boys, man, for real, for real. Next person, Matt, you ready? Yeah, Matt, man, this is. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm about to. Okay, so shedding is when musicians get together. You got drums, everything you see up here. We get together. You may have another drum set, 2, 3 drum sets. And the real definition of shedding is, the reason it's called shedding is like a snake that shed its skin, is growing. And that's what we call it for as being musicians. We growing. We coming here to grow, shedding off our old. And it ain't a jam session. We then kind of got away from what sheds mean. It ain't coming together and bam, 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 everybody showing what you got. It's somebody stopping, hold on, what you doing? Let me, even with singing, we had singers that come doing riffs, singing, oh, okay, what you doing? Let me, stop, let me hear what you doing. And that's kind of what shedding is iron sharpen iron, really. Everybody coming together and trying to, practice. It's really just a big, big practice. That's all it is, yeah. And we got y'all, don't worry, for the singers, we got somebody to talk to y'all, so yeah, it's gonna be up a little later though. But next we got coming is Matt. This guy here, like David's got you from saying, man, MD producer, it's the man, bro. I just sat on stage with this man plenty of times, man, and he's solid, man. He's solid. So Matthew Wilson, man, from Zion Hill.
Appreciate it, man. God bless y'all. In my situation, I'm not as limber as John and David, only because I have much more girth than they have. So I'm gonna sit up in a chair that's gonna be able to get me back up a little bit easier. My task, okay, good. My task is to talk about being a musical director, and part of the strategy of dealing with studio arranging and live arranging. The first thing that I want to talk about as far as the responsibility of an MD, so I got some notes here. One of the first duties of a music director, he is or she is the leader, the musical leader that's responsible for the movement of the music in either a service or a concert. At the end of the day, an artist or a worship leader is going to communicate what it is that they need to the music director. And from there, it's the responsibility of the music director to make sure that everybody else is understanding how we're going to bring this vision to pass. So if you want to think about it, the worship leader or the artist, they're the owner. The music director is the general contractor. At the end of the day, it's their responsibility to make sure all of the tasks get separated and everybody's holding their end of the blanket. Another thing is they communicate the needs of the artist or the worship leader to the other musicians and singers. So we have a game plan. That game plan needs to be executed. All of the people involved have a piece to play in doing so. So it's the MD's job to make sure that everybody's held accountable and they have a coach that can help get them through whatever it is that they're working through to try to figure that out. Another thing, for the most part, they're responsible for the arrangements of the song. specific to arrangements, I'm gonna kind of slide into something else with that. Whenever we talk about arrangements of a song, the key thing is to understand where's the song going. What is the story? What is the message behind the song? So if I understand that, then I know how to communicate it, okay? I'll give you an example. So everybody that's heard the song Stand by Dontare Williams, okay? Now, let's take a listen to something.
When you've done all you can, and it seems like it's never enough.
Okay, so I played that to explain something. Now, if anybody knows or doesn't know the story behind that song, Dontare Williams was on an airplane, and he had some things going on in his family, some things going on with himself that he was struggling with. And during that time, he was exhausted. He had been singing and doing all this other stuff, traveling, and he was exhausted. And he was sitting on this airplane. He's like, God, I'm doing all this stuff for you, and it feels like I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm doing and I'm doing, I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm doing and I'm doing, and what is actually happening with me? How am I supposed to replenish myself when it feels like I'm giving out and I have nothing being poured back into me? So during that time, he was sitting there thinking. Notice I said the word thinking, put a pin in that. He's sitting there thinking, and he's like, okay, well, what do you do when you've done all you can? It seems like it's never enough. And he just went on, and finally the Spirit revealed to him, you just stand. That's what the Bible says. Okay, so if we take apart how the song is constructed, and we look at how it's arranged, you have this big buildup of this music. Da-da, what do you do? Bam. Now it gives us space to think. So we've built up all of this music and everything, and now at the time when I really need to be focusing, the music breaks down because it gives the lyrics an opportunity to be heard, but in the mind of the writer, it's giving the writer an opportunity to think. There's no more noise. Now, another thing when we talk about arrangements, we talk about licks and moves and movements and all the other kind of stuff. One thing about licks and movements, licks, fills, breaks, and lines, things that you play in an arrangement, are like the punctuation and topographical emphasis in your writing. Let me tell you what that means. You don't, if I say to you, get out the way, okay, you'll probably move. If I say, get out the way, that's a whole different feel. If I say, yo, get out the way, that's a whole different feel. Same words, same statement. But the way that I emphasized it gave you three different feelings. One was just, hey, can you slide out the way so I can move by? Another one was coming off as me being rude. The third one came off as me being concerned. So those three things, that one statement said three different ways, creates a whole different feel. Okay, so let's think about it when we talk about music. So we're saying, okay, everything that I play, the movements that I make, the lines that I play, it should be emphasizing something, or it should be taking me somewhere. Okay, so think about it like this. So same song.
You're all alone, all alone. Tell me, what do you get when you...
Notice, it wasn't no 32-bar line. It was a simple progression. Because all it's doing is I'm getting you from here to another thought. So it's very simple. It's very basic. It's very subtle. Nothing that has to be flashy. So we take that into consideration when we're looking at the lyrics of a song in order to be able to bring that thing to pass. Okay? Another thing. Another example.
My Redeemer has saved me from sin. My soul
So I played that to specify once again the marriage between lyrics and music. The name of the song is Freeze by Kiara Sheard. It's very open. The musicians are giving her plenty of open space to be able to deliver those lyrics. She's talking about freedom. So the music is open without restriction. So now those lyrics have meaning to them because they're riding on music that's going in the same direction. It's very open, very basic. So as music directors, all of that stuff has to be going through our head. How am I translating this to be able to create a moment? Now, I wrote down more notes than I had time for, so now I got to try to get to the other spaces. The last thing I want to talk about when we talk about arranging, specific to a music director, is when we talk about live arrangements. So if we're doing this in a concert service, what have you. The number one thing is, at this point, the arrangement is less about the song and more about creating the moment that the song is going to sit in. So the song is already established. It's already done. Now the consideration is, how does this song sit in this moment? I'll give you another example. So the song, who's familiar with Your Presence is Heaven by Israel Houghton? Okay? That song has two versions to it. Has two versions for a reason. Both versions are beautiful. This is the studio version. Beautiful.
Who is like you, Lord, in all the earth?
It's beautiful. But would that fit the worship moment? Well, let's see what my favorite producer in the whole wide world, Aaron Lindsay, let's see what he had to say about it. So it's all about being able to take that song and sit it in this worship moment. So now I'm creating space for the song to minister, not to be heard. I'm creating space for the song to be ministered. It can't be ministered if there's too much color around it to distract from what's being said. So now I'm opening it and giving it room to breathe so that the lyrics can come through a little bit stronger, okay? A couple of things I want to try to finish with. So the song is the speech, the arrangement is the tone of the speech. That's what I was talking about earlier when we talked about Get Out the Way. That's what that is. So the arrangement is the tone that allows the speech to be heard, okay? How it's translated. For musicians, when we're developing a set for something live, you want to be able to anticipate a moment and prepare for it, okay? What happens if there's a moment where the buzz of worship is just all over the place? Do we continue and move on to the next set? Or are we prepared to be able to hover? What happens if we go into a shout? Are we prepared to be able to go there? So everything that you do in preparation, you want to be able to anticipate moments and then be able to sit in them. There's a scene, and this is it, that the documentary from Michael Jackson, where he comes on stage, he pops up out of the stage, he turns around and he sits, he stands. The executive producer, Kenny Ortega, says, we're supposed to be starting the music, what's going on? And his music director, Michael Bearden, said, well, no, nothing's wrong, he's sizzling. So he's done this enough and had enough fortitude to be able to say, at this point, they're gonna do something. So I need to sit here before we go. So he's anticipating the moment already. He's already communicated that to his music director, Michael Bearden. Michael Bearden has communicated that to the musicians and the vocal director, Dorian, I can't remember Dorian's last name. But he's already communicated that information, so now the band and the singers are prepared. Because he saw a moment coming and made sure they were prepared for it and could anticipate it. Okay? There's another portion where they're practicing The Way You Make Me Feel, and they get ready to start the song, and he stops them immediately. He says, no. He says, you have to let it simmer. So two things, sizzle and simmer. There are some ways of being able to create tension in a moment, and you have to be able to understand how that moment is going to explode. But then there's also another time when you have to be able to picture when the moment needs to hover. So as a music director, those are things that in communication with your artist that you're able to dig into and understand ahead of time. And as you're preparing your music, you're setting up your band to be able to anticipate those moments as well. All right, last couple of points, and then I'm out your way. Make decisions that promote flow and fluidity in the experience. Another thing, and this is very, very, very important, clean transitions are vital. Vital. Dead time is a killer. So how we go from song to song, how we go from part to part, whatever it is that we're doing, we want to make sure that our transitions are clean, making sure that they're on point, and we don't want to allow dead space. Definitely don't want to allow dead space. And then we talked about sizzle versus simmer. I'm going to play this last clip. This is kind of going in the direction of understanding how to, whenever we're bridging parts from one place to another, understanding how that would work out. I'm using a song that I produced for my big sis back there, Cindy. Now this is about creating movement, allowing the music to create movement. Now it's gonna push. So instead of allowing that part to just sit idle, you want to give it dimension, give it something that's pushing it forward, okay? So the key things that I want you to take away from this session, understanding the role of a music director, knowing that this person is responsible for making sure that the musical vision of the artist or the worship leader or what have you comes to pass, to giving it life. When it comes to arranging in music, you want your arrangement to set the tone for what's being said, what's being sung, and all of that. And when we're in a live situation, it's more about creating a moment than it is about the institution of the music. It's about opening up and allowing a moment to happen, right? God bless you.
Appreciate you, big bro. Sir, man. Hey, that nuggets. Big nugget drop, man. Everybody who been up here, man, so far, man, everybody on the panel, man, that's why I got these guys, man, because they expertise in their fields. Coming next, man, I got my bro, man. It's like blood couldn't make us closer, man. We've been tight since day one, traveled everywhere. We was on the 45-day tour, seen coast to coast, literally. And yeah, that was some fun times, but yeah. But next, I got my bro Q Helaire from Natchitoches coming up. Speaking on drummers, tuning, technique, all that.
How y'all doing? All right, as y'all don't know, but I'm not really a talker, so y'all bear with me. I want to thank John for considering me to get on here or whatnot. First thing I'm gonna talk about is recording drums. I believe that was my topic, and I'm gonna talk from two different perspectives: live and studio. I'll start with studio first. I'm really gonna say it's not a wrong or right way when it comes to recording drums. Everything play a part, like the space you in, the type of drum heads you use, all of that. But the most thing I will say when it comes to studio, it's not live for any drummers out there. Any small slip up, like your sticks clicking together, stop and start over. It'll make your workflow continue, and it'll make whoever mixing or engineering make their job a whole lot easier. Or even if you're doing it yourself, it'll cut your time down. Like I say, if you mess up, start over. Just get in the flow of perfecting. Put that expectation on yourself to be the best. Another thing with live, studio, every chop, like they say, every chop and licks and stuff that you want to play don't always fit the song. So don't think because, they got me on this track, then I'm going to go in my bag and play my repertoire. That's not the case all the time. Know the song, play the song. If it's a tag, play that tag. Don't try to add nothing extra, because like this man say, you trying to create a moment. So if the drummer's just doing whatever, the moment is out the way for the overall project. Now live, I'm still not gonna say you just hop in your bag and do whatever. To any drum out there, have discipline, know when and when not to do something. What else I was going to talk about, bro? Tuning. Tuning, that's another thing. It's really a personal preference of how you want your stuff. You can tune high, low, go by the keys on the keyboard, whatever the case may be. Drum heads, that's your preference. But one thing I will say, and a lot of drummers do this, especially where I'm from, when your head is dead, change it, bro. Don't try to sit there and keep tuning it high, putting rings on it and all that. Let it go. Invest in yourself. Another thing, I go back to studio, being that I do a lot of studio work. Sometimes, we as drummers, we have our go-to person that we look up to, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like he say, the first thing we do is go to YouTube. Let's see how they did it. Man, be creative. Be your own person. Like he say, learn your sound. Don't so much try to mimic the next person, because an older cat told me if you hop in somebody else's lane, you might get ran over. Find your lane, stick with it. If you're not a choppy drummer, don't try to be. There's nothing wrong with it. Everybody got their own thing, Just another thing I want to talk about too. Sorry, I'm just rambling. Pocket drummer. A lot of drummers get that confused, thinking it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not always the case. You can put a feel. There's a difference too, in a feel and a riff. A feel is just something, creating that moment, going to the, making the changes where it need to be. Not gonna call names or anything, but they got this cat back from my way, and he feel like, pocket pays. That's what they say. But like I say, you have to understand what a pocket is. They say, well, put it there and it ain't gonna move. I got my phone in my pocket right now. I'm able to move it. You feel me? Not much, but you can, you can move, Pocket, normally when a person say, hey man, stick in the pocket, you just doing too much. Don't do all that if it's not needed. Then it comes a time, where it may be needed. So if you want to be that choppy drummer, hey, be that. But just be prepared. You know, if you get put on the spot, like at the end of a song and all the instruments just holding, and it's drummer time. If you say you a choppy drummer, then you got to be prepared for that. If not, hey, bro, be cool. Just say, hey, I'm not their drummer. Another thing, live, invest in yourself. Have your own equipment. Don't expect, you know, even especially church, you know, church, you know, we have this mindset, oh, it's church, they gonna let me use it. Maybe not, you know, you never know. But if you have your own stuff, you know, you don't have to worry about that, you know. So please invest in yourself. If it ain't no more than coming in with a pair of drumsticks, have something, you know. Anybody got any questions or anything? Well, I mean,
The question was the mics on the studio.
really, like I say, it's a personal preference, really. And you know, you have to also understand this too. If you're not getting work like that, and when I mean work, if you're not getting like constant calls to track or do stuff like that, bro, don't go out here and spend $2,000 on mics, and you ain't gonna make $2,000 a year recording. So I mean, you know, with that, if you small, man, you can get you some $300, $400 mics and, you know, make it work. But if you on that level, if you see yourself on that level, then yeah, you know, go with some top stuff. And for us like live, really, only thing I probably change live is probably like overheads or something like that. Placement, really. Yeah, that's about it. Any other questions for I?
Oh, hold on.
The first thing with a drummer really is knowing how to count. And I don't mean like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. That's 4, 4 if everybody's lost. So learning how to count, being disciplined, not just hopping on drums if you hear some music and just thinking you know what it is, grasping it, letting it, you know, sink in your head, then go. One thing I do a lot, really, is just, I call it hearing. I mean, like he say, I'm an older cat, so I'm guilty of not shedding a lot, but I'll think it. Not saying that it always come to pass once I sit on the drums, but I'll sit there and think of chops in my head and, you know, go from there. And to add on to that, like young drummers, when y'all hop on drums, like, and y'all please forgive me if I say this wrong, but don't hop on there with the initial thought of doing the normal church beat. If you really want to learn, watch, ask for help. I mean, you got, that's what the purpose of this is. If you don't know, ask somebody. Like I say, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. Not pointing at y'all, you know, or anything, no pastor or whatever like that. But yeah, don't let it be just the normal go-to church beat. And also, drummers, before I answer the next question, like, it's nothing wrong with playing another genre. Be versatile, man. Like you say, a lot of stuff that, you know, we hear that's outside the church you can use it on the inside. Like, Dontare, I'm a witness. I watch you on Sundays. A lot of the grooves that you play, a lot of people like, oh, that ain't church. But it don't matter. He's creating that moment. He's flowing with the rest of the band. So, yeah.
Brother James.
Brother Q.
Yes, sir.
So what should be the mindset between playing for a project versus playing live? How should my mindset as a drummer be?
Again, y'all, I'm not just a church musician, so a lot of things I'm gonna answer might not be the church answer. First thing, it depends on the genre. But again, I'll just use church. The difference is, like I say, for live, you have to be very like on top of you gotta execute it. It's a must. Like that's the big difference with studio and just us hopping up here. Like when I get ready to perform, you might see a mistake, but if I'm tracking, it's no need for me to have a mistake. Yeah, it's a must. I have to get it right. Because for the simple reason, when I'm live, you can't go back and pause or start over. But if you listen to me, you can pause it, go back, oh, he messed up here. And I mean, I'm big on that. I hate for people to be like, oh, thank you, you messed up. Then I done let my partners hear and they be like, oh, yeah, that's good. Nah, critique yourself. You know, if you got any doubt, man, I could have did that better. Do it better. Yeah, I mean, like have that high expectation on yourself. The same way if you go into your job, they give you these requirements and these expectations to get your dollar. Same with music. If you don't have no expectations or requirements on yourself, you ain't gonna get no dollar. You won't get a call. But be prepared. I mean, like I say, for any genre, whether it's live or studio, know the difference. Execute both of them, really. But like I say, studio, really, it should be no mistakes. Oh, dang.
Wait a minute. We're gonna start from the back. We're gonna start from the back, ladies first.
I'm gonna take these last three. I'm gonna give my time back. You
Real
feel
time.
me?
Yes, sir. I have a quick question. For your drummers, do y'all have to be behind that glass shield? Is that something y'all need? Because a lot of times when we're singing, it's like the drums be going slower. Can y'all hear back there? What's the purpose of the glass shield?
All right, that's a good question. The purpose of the glass shield is really to keep the drum sound from traveling it, you know, all across the stage. For the simple fact, like church, they have a. Forgive me if I say this wrong, y'all, please. But a lot of churches have a habit of saying the drums are too loud. So that's where the shield come in at. Now to answer your other question, can we hear? Sometime. I mean, sometimes we can't. And drummers, if you can't hear, invest in an in-ear system or talk to your sound man about getting you a monitor or something like that so you can hear. But yeah, that's the purpose of it. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my bad. Can you explain the importance of a drummer or a percussionist in general using a metronome live and in studio? A click track. A click track. Well, I don't want to. Or a click track, metronome, not a loop, not stems. It's just the importance of just a metronome.
The importance of that is to really keep you on time. And the beep you hear, I mean, it's not gonna move. So with that being said, as a drummer, you should move. You the timekeeper. So if the metronome is keeping you in time, it's your job to keep everybody else in time. So if it ain't moving, you shouldn't be moving. And with a click track, again, I was guilty of this too. A click track is not just something we use for extraness. It actually fills the track up. It's another instrument if you look at it. I mean, you might want to call it a percussions or auxiliary or whatever, but it's another person in the band, whether they playing it live or on your laptop. Again, a click track help you stay in time too. If you putting it down right, it's not gonna move. So again, if the percussionist or the click track ain't or the metronome not moving, then the drummer shouldn't be moving.
What if some drummers got 2 snares?
Say that again.
Why do some drummers have 2 snares?
Well, for me, the pink snare is my main snare, so that's the one I'm gonna hit mostly, and it's tuned high. The turquoise to the black one it's a deeper snare. It's just give you another sound, really like sound effects, really. Yeah. I want to thank y'all for listening to me.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Next, I think we got, let me see. I think Tyrik, talking to the young generation, the baby boy. He the youngest one of the clan. But bro cold, though. Bro cold on keys, man. And he's going to talk to the young generation.
Hey, how everybody doing? All right. My name is Tyrik. I'm from Natchitoches, Louisiana. They trying to say I'm from down here now, but I'm from Natchitoches, Louisiana. But I'm really not too much of a talker, but I'm gonna speak to the younger generation that's pretty much coming up, and I'm young myself, but just talking to the younger generation. But what I'm gonna say, first thing I'm gonna talk about discipline. You gotta have some type of discipline, you know. And what I mean by discipline, just really putting in that effort, making time to practice for yourself, push yourself, and you know you want to see where you want to get at in the near future. But just getting gigs and stuff like that, you got to put in that type of work. You know, practice a lot. You know, and it's okay. Pretty much just to say, like, they say that you can't play or something like that. I used to cry a lot in church because they wouldn't let me play. Like, I used to say, made to bust out in tears, you know, but I knew where I was at as a musician, as an upcoming keyboard, I wasn't there, you know, to really just get up and just go play for anybody, you know what I'm saying? But just basically just putting in that work, you know, got to make the time, just keep pushing. What else can I say? Get out there and connect with other people, you know? Like, be scared to ask questions. Like, I'm pretty sure it's somebody else out there that knows, you know, that can probably mentor you or tell you, like, okay, man, this is what I did. So it probably can help you on the long way, the journey, you know? But, bear with me.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What's the correct way to practice? We talk about practice, but the right and wrong way to practice.
The right and wrong way.
Yeah. Because we all hit 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours, but it's also the wrong 10,000 hours. The 10,000 hours make you a professional, but you can also do that wrong. What's the right way to go about it? 10,000 hours of, yeah.
Well, what I say, man, just really, you know your sound. You gotta know your sound when you comes to, you know, try to mimic everybody else, you know. Like, you know what you hear, you know. Instead of just copying off for somebody else, it might not work for you the way it worked for everybody else. So practice your sound and, you know, bring it all together. I mean, anybody else got any questions? Listen to it. I have to listen to the song first. and when I'm listening to it, even if I'm probably at work or something like that, I get home and listen to it again and actually play with the track and actually practice it. You know, listen to different chord structure. You know, it might not be the right chord, but something probably close to it. And it's all about your turnarounds too, and you know, your mistakes, how you come back from it. You know, don't pretty much show it. You know, make the good turnaround when it comes to it. Yes, ma'am. Well, I mean, man, what I say, I don't got any hate or nothing against nobody that use transpose. Now, I can't say I don't use it, but I mean, I mean, from a keyboard or piano player perspective, if everybody like, just say somebody don't play in all their keys, you know, that's when they actually come back to that keyboard player and be like, okay, well, I can't probably play in the key that she's singing in. I'll probably play somewhere close to it, but it don't make sense, you know. But all I can say,
yeah, it's still two different keys.
Two different keys, just close to it. But I mean, we can make it happen. It might not give you the way that you want it, but we can make it happen.
Hey, twin, what you tell the young musicians about like layering their sounds?
Man, when you layering your sounds, you gotta have some type of clarity. When I say clarity, knowing when to use that patch, like say you in a high service or something like that, or somebody talking soft and just be talking in the church, talk music. I feel like, as for talk music, I don't feel like somebody should be playing a HPF dance and piano at the same time. I mean, bells and all, you know, but, you know your sound and then, you know, mixing your patch. So, I mean, I feel like different settings of the church, like you, the spirit up high in the church, and y'all finna go to a bump, max it out. I mean, not max it out, but make sure your sound make good clarity and just have clear, you know, you can still hear your main bed or your piano. So, yeah. Anybody else got any questions? Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. I probably wasn't. I probably didn't see. I'm sorry if I did.
We was at New Bethel.
Oh, I couldn't see.
Yeah, we was at New Bethel.
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yes, ma'am. Oh, no problem. No problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, twin, what you would tell a young musician if they get to a gig and they was promised one thing, but when they got the finished playing, they didn't get what they was told they was gonna get? What would you tell it? Oh, never mind. Disregard that church.
Hey, that's a good one though. Hey, bro, look.
It's for church and
other gigs.
Other gigs, in church and other gigs.
Well, I'm gonna speak from my point of view. At the end of the day, I'm a man.
Good question, bro.
I'm a man, and I expect you to stand on your word. Before I even get to the gig, I feel like you should even have it ready. If it's not, if I got any question about it, I'm not gonna play. That's me.
So, as a younger musician, do you think I should be out traveling and doing gigs if I don't have my own equipment?
Absolutely not. That's just my opinion, because you get to a gig and they don't have a keyboard, then what you go play? I mean, you not making no money off of it because you don't have anything to play. So, I mean, that's your responsibility to have your equipment. But that's it. Man, well, I'm gonna say this. When I first started, I didn't play in all my keys. I believed in transpose, and I kind of still do, but I try my best to stay away from it, you know. But the way I was trained, I had this dude named Quentin Helaire. He made me go by my keys, but that's when I discovered I had perfect pitch. Where I could hear in the key, I just call it out just like that. But he made me practice that by single notes. And then on that, you know, my numbers, teaching my numbers, but he didn't know any numbers like that. So with me going to somebody else that helped me better myself, like a dude named Roscoe, he helped me with my numbers and stuff like that. And I put two and two together and made my own sound. I mean, that's about it.
So Twin, as a piano player, what's the importance of playing hymns and knowing them?
Say playing hymns and what? Being prepared?
The younger generation learning hymns.
Man, I'll say this. I didn't know my hymns, all the hymns till I got to ground and went to a church named Mount Zion. The only thing I pretty much knew was Old 100 or, you know, devotion time. You know, that's all I needed. But, man, just listening, just looking up stuff, you know, listening to hymns or looking at somebody else, you know, but I try my best not to mimic after somebody else, but it's a hymn, and it's good to know them, so I just say just listen to them, bro, and just practicing, because that, you going to need to know that. You're going to need to know your hymns just in case you go to a church that's pretty much traditional, and all they do is sing hymns, and that's what I ran into, and I had no choice but to really learn and listen to hymns. I mean, I had to learn them. You know.
I think we got one more question for Ricky in that hot seat.
Yeah, I'm in the hot seat.
As a young musician, what's your biggest challenge?
That's a good question, bro. Man, just doubting myself, really. Sometimes I feel like when I get around other musicians, I feel like I be lowering myself, but knowing that I could be, or I'm that person, I could be that person too, you know? But I gotta stop doing it, cause, you know, I mean, honestly, cause I'm doing what I'm doing now, and I got that, I feel like I'm at the level, or I could, you know, to better myself, to really just quit thinking like that, cause I know I believe in myself to go farther what I'm doing now. So, that's it. But thank you.
You done, baby boy?
Oh, yeah, I'm done.
All right. So, any questions so far? Anybody got any questions about anything? Okay.
A lot of musicians has come up as being able to be in the church setting. Okay, I'm talking the church setting. Playing by yourself without a bass player, without sometimes even a drummer. And it's sad to say it's even happening now in 2025. What do you say to that musician opposed to a musician that plays with a band?
I say go find it. to be honest. If you don't have it, go try to find it. If you can't find it, you just stuck with what you got. And make the best of it. Learn your left and your right hand. Well, as far as keyboard players, learn how to play with your left and your right. And make it full. Like whatever you got to do, these boards up here got all kind of sounds on them. Sliders, yeah, you can sound like a full band. Also, if you're in that predicament, look into investing in software, running stems or stuff like that to build up your one-man band or your two-man band. Because everybody, like this city, it's a drought on musicians for some reason. We don't have like bass players. There's 2-3 bass players out here. Yeah, one of them in Poland. He's way out in Poland, the country, not Poland down south. Poland, the country. And that's kind of because we need more, we need more musicianship. We need more people that really want to play, not for a hobby. Because me and my pops talk all the time. If it's your hobby, don't expect to get paid. Don't expect to get paid off no hobbies. People go to fish. They don't look to get paid. You fishing. So if you're gonna do this, be serious about it. Invest in you, like these guys said. Invest in yourself. All that, man. All that, it plays a part. Invest in yourself. Research is a big thing. All these instruments up here, we didn't just look at the magazine and say, oh, let me go buy this. No. We had to go figure out what it do, why it does it, what's the reason behind it, because you're just going to be buying stuff, and that's silly. That's silly. You invest in the wrong way. But, as far as being a one-man band, man, invest in software or just bring yourself. I ran into a lot of cats, cold, play by themselves, with no drummer. And boys hit the MPC, and they gone. Or hit a little click track and a button, and they gone. So it's just invest in yourself or becoming more fluent by yourself is what I can say. But I ain't get up here to really say nothing at all. But okay, Noble, what you got? Horns? Oh man, it's needed. that horn section, man, it's live horns. That's a whole different. That's a good question because this kid here. I don't know what to call him. He's an anomaly. He does everything. He plays drums. He just like Tyrik. He got perfect pitch. Red be up here going into his hoop. I look at him every Sunday. What key in? C. So but horns, all that extra brass instruments, string instruments, that's really needed in church. It like David just said, it enhances. It's like you going from a Mazda to a McLaren almost. Like, yeah, it's real nice. It really enhances your performance and your being up here, really.
I got one more question.
Yes, sir.
Please expound on, okay, we're talking about church. The relationship between a musician and the shepherd of the house.
Oh, wow. I have to probably get somebody else up here. Yeah, I have to get somebody else on this mic. That's a deep one there, Doc.
It's like a marriage. You have to be submissive. And there are great musicians, and I guess, like in a marriage, just the fact that God requires your wife to be submissive don't mean she loses any power. Doesn't mean she's less than you or anything. But you have to be submissive to the shepherd of the house or wherever because it's his vision. God gave it to him. So if you overplaying, if you trying to bring up a moment when he trying to bring it down, that tug of war, that's out of line, that's out of order. So I know a lot of great musicians struggle with this, and it's tough because you got it in you. You feel me? In this moments that you be like, man, is the Holy Spirit tugging me? Nah, that ain't the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is not about confusion. So if it's like any contrast, if he going somewhere and you not going with him, then we out of order. And 2025, everybody in their feelings, so it's real tough to find submissive musicians because we a commodity now. So we feel like we can, do that. But man, God is watching, and if he ain't pleased, we ain't pleased.
Oh, hold on. Keep your mic. I got a question.
Where we at?
I'm back here.
All right.
All right. So again, I already made the disclaimer. You know,
Right.
everything I say is not gonna be perfect in the church people's eyes.
Absolutely.
So this is my question. He just asked like about the musician and the shepherd. What if that shepherd of that church asks you to do a job? Like he's never invited you to come worship, to come to Bible study, Sunday school. You only asked to do a job.
Yeah.
How do you go about the submissive role in that when you're doing a job?
Right. That first of all, that's a real good question. And the thing about being a musician in church is, even though it's a job, it's a ministry first. And it has to be. And the problem is, Q, is that we have a lot of employees, but we don't have a lot of ministers. And see, this is the one job that we cannot approach as job first. But with that being said, there is out of order. There are times where there are pastors who misuse that authority. Right. That happens. But you can't be that guy to challenge. Just move around. If you feel like you kicking against the prick, like the words say, move around, because you don't want to sow no confusion in that church. Because at the end of the day, it ain't about playing great music. It's about souls going to heaven. You feel me? So it has to be ministry first. But that don't mean take advantage of me because it's ministry first.
Amen.
Because that ain't in the word.
Right.
That is not in the word. Look, you are worthy of what you work for. And you put the time and effort into it, and you are worthy. And if you decide you want to give that back to the house of the Lord, that's your choice. You feel me? But like little bro said, if y'all had a contract or an agreement and that's not honored, you can move around just like anybody else, all right? Right. But at the end of the day, it has to be ministry first. Yeah. Let me tell y'all something about Q, bro. When Q was 11, 12 years old, I used to drag him around with his drums to all these churches in South and North Louisiana, and they used to put us out the church because they said we played too loud. Yes, indeed. But ministry first, big bro.
Real
ministry
talk.
first, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's some good conversation. Good conversation, man. Okay, we got a question.
Being that you just talked about the young perspective, what's being done to prepare the next generation? Because from my point of view, it just seems like it's a dying art.
You're very right about that. What's being done to bring the young generation? That's the question. This kind of what it is right here. The start of this is, and I wish more young, especially from this area, was out here, but this is the start. Seeing what's around you. Seeing that you got the help of Matt, Terence, David, Q, Tyrik James, my pops, all these people in it. You got the help. You don't have to struggle. And it's about coming around. Like we said, the doctor don't call your house to see if you sick. You got to go to the doctor if you sick. The doctor's not finna come to your house. If something's wrong, well, now y'all calm down now, calm down. If something is wrong, you gotta go see what's wrong with you. You gotta go to the person, to the specialist, for them to diagnose you. You can't diagnose yourself. So that's kind of the problem we have around here. It's like people are waiting for people to call their name, and that never ever has happened in the history of human beings. Like, we got to go to where it's at. That's what I had to do. I had to come around these cats. I couldn't stand my own. Even my pops told me, you're not going to be with me all your life. You're going to venture out. You're going to have to. If you want to do this, you're going to have to find other people that's on them levels to get you where you're trying to go. So that's what I say. The start of this right here is to bring the young generation and everybody in to see that you got this help. You got all these people here. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, being that whenever we are at rehearsal and like my little boy that I bring with me,
Okay.
and he gets on the side of you, he watches you, and he wants to touch and everything. Is that a
Nah, that's the right thing. That's why I have them over there. That's how all of us learn. All of us learn by sitting there and looking at all the other cats before us. Oh no, don't. Yeah, you good. Leave him. Yeah, let him stay right there. He's not bothering to messing up anything, because that's where the growth comes from. The growth comes from watching and learning instead of getting on and trying to play. Matt, I think.
Yeah. So I want to pick back up what you said and show the other perspective. It's true. We're not
Yeah, 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 yeah.
We as OGs, on top of what it is that's going on, in order for the art to not die, we have to make ourselves available to pour into.
Right.
So it's
Right.
a two-way street.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to come get the knowledge, but I can't be closed mouth when you come and get
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And this is the reason I got the panel that I got. These cats don't mind helping. My bros, man, they don't mind sitting time. We didn't sit with Terence, Matt, Q, James. Well, with us, we already know we gonna do what we gotta do on the music. But David, Dontare, all of us done sat down and really trying to figure it out. That these cats don't. I ask these boys questions all the time, man. Everybody, all the bros I gotta ask, I still ask them questions. Even though I play my little doo-doo-doo on the bass, I'm still asking questions like, what's this for? Why is this? And that's kind of where it starts. And like you said, we gotta be, any of us that's been playing, dating, all of us, we gotta be ready to accept people where they at too. We can't get frustrated because we was there. We started off, Mary Had a Little Lamb or whatever, playing your church, whatever. We started there. So we, like Matt was saying, we got to be ready to accept people, that's coming in and asking questions. Back in the day, you ran into cats, just come by, and then when you hit them up, you don't hear from them. Yeah. Yeah, we came up with the cassette and the VHS tapes. Wearing them out. So we didn't have nobody to come to and be like, show us this, show us that. It was like a closed system back then. But now it's more open where, especially like with YouTube and all this, but you don't have to do that. You got these cats right here in your own city that's 5 miles away from you every day. There's no reason you should be, man, look, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever. Man, let's link, let's get together. And that's where the growth, that's why the I don't know what to call it, the growth of a music culture. That's where it starts. Coming around, being exposed to different sounds, being exposed to different people that play. That's how Chicago got big. That's how New York got big. That's how all these places got these sounds, because they came together. People wasn't just on they over there doing this, they over there doing that. Like, nah, all them cats came together and made something. And that's what we trying to do here. So, hey, great question. Anybody, I seen another, okay. Great questions, though, great questions.
Okay, John, this is my last question, I promise.
Oh, nah, y'all, how many you want?
Part of being on the praise team, we have to have a relationship with y'all. Do we insult y'all when we tell y'all? Because sometimes we can tell y'all to speed it up or bring it stronger, and y'all give us that look like we did something wrong. What should we do as praise team people? Should we just give you a one look one time? Or
Nah,
what should we do?
Well, you got to know who you're dealing with. And you got to know the people and the personalities that you're dealing with. Like, some people don't like to be told nothing. And, yeah, well, a lot of musicians don't like to be told nothing. Speaking, wait, what happened? I'm lost now. Oh, okay, but nah, you got to know your personnel you're working with. And 9 times out of 10, that's the musicians that you don't want to work with, just being honest. That's the people that you don't want to have in your service because they're not listening. They're not open to criticism or instruction. And that's kind of hard to deal with. That's kind of, you got to know where you at. And if somebody's telling you something that's the benefit to help us all, listen. So, but basically, as far as the looks and all that, man, it's some people that can't be told nothing. Yes, ma'am.
You know my son, Junior.
Yes, ma'am.
He has autism.
That boy can play.
And he plays pretty well.
That boy can play. Yeah.
And he learned how to play listening to commercials.
Wow, yeah.
And so my mom bought her piano when they moved here, and he learned how to play on that piano just by listening to commercials.
Yes, ma'am.
And then because I saw his interest, I bought the keyboard. And then so it grew from there, and he became, our church musician over time. And so for those who have children with special needs or nephews with special needs, you'd be surprised how much children love music.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you can find different ways to get your kids interested in some type of instrument. He never been to music school. It's really just all
Yeah, it's in them.
because he
Yeah.
just loved it.
Yeah, yes,
The other
ma'am.
thing is I've been a choir director for almost 40 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And so as a choir director, if you and your musicians are not on the same page, it's hard to really get where you want to go, because you're really kind of fighting against each other, and your musician really kind of gets to hate you. So you hang on in
Yeah,
there
it's
with
a-
him because you don't want
It's
to
a
lose
vendetta.
him.
Yeah.
You just hold on to him because you don't want to lose him. If you know you can't replace him, you got to hold on to what you got.
Yeah.
And so, to have that kind of a feeling or emotion, especially in church, is really uncomfortable.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, perfect point, perfect comment. Perfect comment.
Awesome dollar, because this goes on. I can assure that any church you play in, the relationship played out, I said it like 5 times, it's a marriage. So, my opinion is, you have to first look at skill set. It always comes with a skill set. The musicians have to have a certain skill set to know what they're doing, as well as the director and the choir. Okay? And I feel like that's all about lanes. So when you come up against a musician, there's sometimes a limitation. I'm a musician, so I'm speaking from experience. Sometimes a limitation, as well as the choir director, or as well as, so I feel like that marriage has to be done, not in front of the choir, not in front of the choir, because that's a time or the place for it. And again, I feel like their frustration comes from a lack of skill set.
Yeah.
Being transparent.
Yeah.
But if the musician is just there for the job,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not really there because he's so glad to be there. He's there because he's going to get paid.
Yeah, yes, a lot of times.
So if that's what it's all about,
And it
then-
shouldn't be. You should have the love.
but money first.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And that's to me that's if I'm hired, there are some musicians who play for more than one church.
yes, ma'am.
He's there because that's the job.
Yes, ma'am.
He doesn't have to love you.
Yeah.
He's just,
I understand what
he's
you're
just
saying.
there to do the job and get paid.
Yeah.
And so so you have in situations like that, you will clash because the choir director and the choir are serious about their church, serious about their songs and their service. So if you don't have that same mindset, that's why if some of the musicians don't belong to that church,
Yeah.
he's just doing his thing and then he's gone.
Yes, ma'am.
And the choir and the choir director is committed because this is their church that they love.
I got my one more question. I have to keep it moving. Yeah. But yeah, it's perfect comment, perfect rebuttal to all that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. With far as that's kind of because, like I said, with the musicians playing at the church and gotten to go, that's because we don't have nobody here. And the demand is high for good musicians because we see YouTube, Facebook, we see everybody else. And we want that at our church. And the demand's so high, you kind of get in the spot where you just hiring anybody.
Yeah.
Because of the need you for trying to fulfill. So that's the whole culture we're trying to change around here. Yeah. How to find a good musician? One that's humble, listens, easy to work with, and has a skill set to back all that up. That's how you find a good musician. Humble. Appreciate it, but that's the way you find the right. Well, a skilled musician. The ones you first got to be humble. Eric Moore ain't gonna see this. Eric Moore, one of the best drummers in the world, but his attitude, he's very arrogant, and he don't play with a lot of people. I'm talking about dude go all day. He got all the chops in the world, got all the placement in the world, but he doesn't work with a lot of people because he's arrogant. A lot of cats, you can be as cold as you want to be. You can be the coldest dude in the world, but you're not going to get called because of your arrogance. You're not humble. You're not easy to work with. Like, all that comes before the skill to me. You got to have You got to have something about you. Skill can't be it all. You got to be easy, like I'm saying, easy to work with. Discipline, have structure. Like, that's what makes a skilled musician or the right musician, whatever you want to define it. We're going to have to keep it moving. We're going to have more questions later on, but next we're bringing up James, talking on key perspective. This man, I think he has a master in music. He has a master in music, so that explains it all. Y'all give him a hand and a leg. It's the bro right here, though, man. Day one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How y'all doing this evening? All right. So for my portion, I'm gonna be a little bit more hands-on with examples rather than just talking. So, Brother John, you help me up a little bit.
Don't worry about his helmet. It's all in his fingers.
Yeah. Oh no, I ain't gonna fall. Oh nah. Yeah, that'd be great. So before I start, I just want to say that when we were talking about just a few seconds ago about what defines a good musician, I think the Bible lets us know what that is. And if you go back in the Bible and we look at David, Saul was asking for a skilled musician. David was skilled, but when they came with the report, they said he's also anointed. Okay, so your heart has a lot to do with what you're doing as a musician. Because at the end of the day, music first starts from the heart. It's a self-expression. So if you don't have the heart for it, if your heart isn't in the right place, your music ain't worth nothing. Okay, so now that I got that out the way. All right, so a lot of things that we need to learn as musicians, especially because Mama just said in the back, well, her son wasn't trained. He was trained. The church is a training ground. Every Sunday, you step into this field of music and you have to put on a live performance. You have to do homework. You have to do all of these things. You're putting together a production every Sunday. And chances are you're in a situation where you can't miss, or perfection is what you aim for. There are necessary, essential fundamentals that you need while you're doing this. Okay? Let's talk about, first thing is, we should all be proficient with knowing all 12 notes on the piano. You know what I'm saying? You're starting with C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. It's gonna come all the way back up because music is all about patterns, okay? With that, you got sharps, or if you wanna call them flats, you know, we got all of that. So the main thing though is knowing these fundamental principles and how to apply them for what you're hearing. A lot of times we can hear what's going on in the music, but we don't have the vocabulary to define what we're hearing. Okay? Music is a language. If I come to you and I'm speaking Spanish and you don't even know the way, you know, the dialect of how Spanish is, or if you don't know or have a vocabulary for Spanish, I'm gonna talk above your head all day. But if you know the basic fundamentals of Spanish, basic words, these key phrases, chances are you're gonna be able to pick up something and have some type of understanding. So with music, if you have the understanding like bass movements, 1 or 1 6 2 5 1, if you can hear that and then you'll have a melody that's going, so chances are, you know what I'm saying? You can find out what's going on in between that. So if I'm playing, oh, I'm sorry. You can find out what's going on if you have the bass and the melody. Because music is gonna work in 3 different ways, either major, minor, or it's gonna be like some type of augmented or diminished, okay? So once you have these key principles, it's easy to be able to identify these sounds. So when you find yourself listening to a song, you know what? Find that bass motion that's happening. Then after you find out what's happening in the bass with your left hand, find out what the melody is. And a lot of us don't like to play melodies. We get on the keys and we just like, you know, we do that and it was like, oh yeah, man, that was dope. But like, it's nothing there. You just played a whole bunch of chords. Music is a conversation. And the best thing that you can do is sometimes leave space for the listener. Give them something to think about. So once you play that, right? See, there's a difference. I'm giving you a melody on top that's giving us direction. Then I'm giving you time to let something settle. So now I'm creating this atmosphere. That's what you have to do. When somebody's talking and you're in the middle of service, I'm gonna go to church right quick for a second. If you're doing talk music, you shouldn't be playing like this. No, that is not talk music, okay? Don't do that. If you hard down smacking like that for talk music, stop. You are wrong. That is not what talk music is for. All right? When you're playing your talk music, you got to think about, there's a show that used to come on and still do. It's called Young and the Restless. These soap operas. I love them. I'm a big fan of TV shows because I got you. I'm a big fan of TV shows when it comes to like music and settings. So what you have to do is you're a producer at this point. You're setting a scene. All right? So think about when you're watching Tyler Perry or something. Right? So it's like your pastor might be talking. We're so glad to have y'all here in worship this morning. We want to thank the Lord because we know that God is great and he is worthy to be praised. You know, set that atmosphere. Set that mood. You don't have to do much. Less is more. I have a question right here in the back. Okay, so talk music is just music that's basically, you're creating a flow in the service, right? There should be, I would say, for me, personal opinion, there shouldn't be like really any dead space. Cover that up. And it doesn't mean that you continuously playing. Nah, you just taking the time to just set that tone. So if somebody's like, you know, God is good, and the Bible says that they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So you setting that mood right there. So if they're talking and they're calm, but now, like, if they're up, it's real, you know, high energy going and everything like that. And come on, church, y'all need to give God some praise in this place. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with doing that. But always be aware, be conscious of the mood and the atmosphere. What's going on with the house? You should be in tune with whoever's speaking. And it's never to be in control of the situation. Your job is to accompany the situation. And a lot of times we want to lead when we should be following. So that's the biggest thing when it comes to that. Another thing, scales. Let's talk about that for a brief second. I'm almost done, Brother John. Scales are the building blocks of music, okay? This is for singers too. If you know your major scale, your minor scale, it's 3 of them, all right? So that was natural minor. You also have melodic. Then you have harmonic. All right, those scales, those 3 scales, you can do anything with those. As far as riffs, runs, anything that you can possibly imagine, they're gonna come from those 3 building blocks, okay? Singers, when you're trying to warm up and do your vocal exercises, you wake up in the morning, da 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 da, you know, Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Yeah, whatever. So you take these basic principles and you apply them, and I guarantee you the success will come from that. A lot of times when we're dealing with singers and also piano players, and it's like, well, what's the choir part? You can do this too. You can do this too. As a fact, your job as a singer, you should be able to hear these parts. So if you take the time out, you don't have to be a great piano player. That's not what it's about. It's really about having an ear for listening, and anybody can do this. You can be taught to listen. This is a skill that anybody can acquire. This isn't something that you have to go to school for. If you want to, yeah, go, get the education, but you don't have to. There's many ways to skin a cat. Also, education. I didn't have a teacher coming up. I learned everything, literally. It was God for me. Like, I tried to reach out to people, it just never worked. So I knew from that point on, like, this is my road. I'm gonna have to travel, so I'm gonna go to school because I wanna learn what I'm playing, what others are playing, and how to play it. So that was my road that I took. If you feel like, you know what I'm saying, that you wanna do that, let me tell you something. When I got to college, I couldn't read music. I couldn't write music. Only thing I could do was listen. So don't think that you have to have this vast knowledge of music and vocabulary when you don't. That's the reason why you're going, to learn it. So if you have that passion, go get the education, get the degree. It's worth it. It's amazing to have. Like, don't think that just because, oh, well, I didn't take piano lessons at 5 and I don't play Mozart and Bach and all of that stuff, that I can't go to school. You can, and they will teach you. I'm living proof, but you have to want it as well. Any more questions? Yes, sir. Oh, that's a great question. So to be honest with you, my brother, like, building your repertoire is all about, first off, what genre are you interested in? Because there's a different repertoire of songs that you should know in each style of music. Like for jazz, we call them standards. These are the go-to songs that every jazz musician needs to know. Then, like, for gospel music, we say, oh, you got to know hymns. You got to know these Dr. Watts. You got to know these, Thomas Whitfield, Walter Hawkins. You got to know these type of songs in order to, have that vocabulary, or to be in service and be able to flow through it and not really run into any problems. So the biggest thing you can do is listen. Find recordings. If you read, find sheet music. If you can go on YouTube. It's all there between YouTube and Apple Music. Listen. The best way is through imitation. When you hear something that you like, learn it. You don't have to learn it down to the exact T, but take what you can from it and then apply that. And that's how you build your vocabulary. And that's how you build your sound. Like, when you think of something like, right, that's Robert Glasper. Right? Yeah, that's Robert Glasper right there. Jazz, R&B, right? But if I'm in church, I can take that. you can take those same principles, those same chords, and make it your own. That's what it's all about. But that's what it's all about. Any more questions? Yes, sir. To be honest with you, there's 88 keys on this piano, right? This piano is, first off, it's a percussion instrument because it's percussive, right? But it's also an orchestral instrument. This instrument is used to cover from bass, cellos, trumpets, trombones, flutes, all of those different types of instruments. You have all of that ability right here at your fingertips. So in certain situations, it's going to be called for. If you're doing a solo gig or you playing in church and you by yourself, it makes no sense for you to be playing, glory, glory like this. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my... Yeah. If you by yourself, that makes no sense. Like, you're empty, you're thin. So it's good if you throw some bass in the glory, glory. You're throwing that in there, that bounce. Now you have some momentum to build off of. Now, if you're playing with a band, that's a whole different setting. So if you got somebody and you in a band and they holding down your low end, right? There's no reason for me to be, right? I can just bum 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 bum. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when that chording with your left hand comes into play. So it's just knowing what situation you're in and being aware of that situation. If there are any more questions? If not, Brother John.
Give it up for Dr. James. Next, we're going to have Brother Dontare Williams come live stream and church sound mix. Live stream on a budget, because everybody can't sound like Cooper's Temple or whoever else is out there with the big, yeah.
All right, how everybody doing? All right, so my name is Dontare Williams. I'm really a jack of all trades. I'm a musician. I do AV. I do installations, whatever it is they got to do with audio or video in the church, I do. So I want to touch on what Mr. Fred hit at the beginning. The importance of a budget. Now, you having a budget for the church and you making the budget and making room for your music ministry is very important, because I don't believe most churches realizes how important your music is. The music is before the preaching or before anything else to set the atmosphere. Next to prayer, so it's prayer, then you set the atmosphere of music, and then it's the word of God. Now, it's easier for churches that has a pastor that's musically inclined or plays an instrument. They understand that. So, like here in Macedonia, our pastor, he plays the instruments, he's a musician, so he understands what the music means to the ministry. So he takes the effort to make sure that the music ministry has any and everything that we need. Okay, so it don't matter if I ask him for anything or we need anything, he understands that. And another thing I wanted to, I don't want to get up here and seem like I'm being like a bad guy or anything, but the talent of your musicians and the choir members, singers, all of that stuff matters.
Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because you singing in church and service in front of just your members that you see every Sunday, you know, it's different than being on live stream and you're being broadcasted to the world, okay? So a lot of different people will see your stream, they will see your musicians, they will see your singers. It's very important to have musicianships and singers that are up to par. You need to have a standard at your church, and not just any standard. You know, I get everybody wants to be a part of a ministry and they want to be used and they feel like they can sing. But as far as you put your product, because at the end of the day, it's a product. It's a product, okay? Because it's ministry, but once you start get on that live stream and you start putting yourself out there to the world, it becomes a product. So you need to have a quality product being presented out there to the world. Like, you have to understand that. So I get, you know, this person, you know, they've been singing this for a long time, or they've been doing this for a long time, and they've been singing or they've been playing or whatever, and they have been at a church or at a ministry where the standard is really low, or they don't know, or they don't know or understand what standard you're actually supposed to have in church. They don't understand the product that you're supposed to have. So I'll say, and it's just to be honest, I've never been one to agree with just because you want a choir, your church want a choir, that you just put people up there. I never agree with that. I'm very little, I'm very honest. I never agree with that. Just because your church need a drummer, a keyboard player, and organist, you just don't throw anybody up there. Because at the end of the day, the product, it means a lot. And it says that product sets the atmosphere for that word. You know, man, it's a lot of pastors out here who wish they can have a certain type of musicianship to bring them in to set the atmosphere, just like James was talking about. There's not a lot of musicians that know how to set the atmosphere like that. And it's a certain product that you need and you're supposed to have. Wow. if you want to stream and you want to be great. Because honestly, online church is more popular than being in the house, which is not a good thing, but that's where we going now. So the churches that you see or you want to emulate or imitate, they understand that the product matters. And a lot of people don't like this. The church is about saving souls and bringing people to Christ. That's what it is at the end of the day. But also, you have to kind of look at it as a business. So everything that you do, the product that you have, everything that you present, you want it to be the best A1 quality product that you have. Because the better the product, the more eyes you get, the more bodies you get, and the better chance you have of bringing people to Christ. Because a lot of people live life music. Music is a lot of people's lives, whether they play an instrument or not. And then they come into a service or they come into a church and the music is not good, or it's a certain level of the product that they don't like. Most 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see them again. You're not even going to get them to make it to the word, even though that's the most important part. They're not going to make it to the word. So now going back to the budget. Now, most people don't have a budget to have a quality sound system, a quality board, quality this, quality that. But I can tell you like this: the product that you hear and that you see from Macedonia is not $1 million budget. It's not $100,000 budget. It's not even look, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. But I'll tell you like this. The most important part, the budget matters, but if you don't have the right body, in the right department, with the right heart, it won't even matter what budget you have. It will never be right. It will never be right. If you have a person that's on the drums, on the mixer, AV team, whatever, behind the camera, if they don't put their all into it, and not because they're getting a check, you understand? Not because they're getting a check. It's the heart. They like to do it, they want to do it, and they enjoy doing it. You'll never have a quality product. You understand? So that's like me. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy sound. I enjoy videos and cameras and playing, and I love this more than anything else. I actually love to do this. So my product is quality. So I have a quality product, and I'm able to get up here and speak to you guys about this. Now, if you have somebody that's coming in trying to get a check or a volunteer per se, you know, somebody be like, okay, that's a willing and able body. Hey, you think you'd be interested in learning about this? That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. You want to have people in the ministry that actually wants to be a part of that actual ministry, and not just because it's something to do or they want to have a name for themselves or anything like that. Nothing like that. My third point I want to make, just real quick. Having to deal with, okay, because I've been playing here for a very, very long time. Been serving at this church for a very, very long time. Just recently, I've been playing for other churches, okay? And I realized all churches are not the same. All people are not the same. Some churches are committee-based. Some churches are pastoral-based. Some churches, the pastor makes the decisions. Some churches, a committee make the decisions. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with either way. You know, I'm just up here having an honest conversation. I'm not saying I don't disagree with any way, but you do have to make sure whatever committee you have and the pastor, they have to be on one accord. A lot of churches do not grow or do not make any further decisions or anything because they got the pastor and then you got the committee, and they're doing two totally different things, totally different visions, two totally different mindsets. Now, I say it to say this. It's time to grow in Alexandria. The mindset here is very, I don't even know how to call it, but it's time for us to grow. I get hymns, I love hymns, and I love new stuff, and I love this and I love that. But the main thing is you have to be progressive in church. You have to move with the times, okay? And live stream is a part of that. Live streaming, churches have been live streaming, but it really didn't get popular until COVID. When COVID came around, it was a mean, in a sense, for you to still be able to reach your members, you know, still get the word out, still be effective in ministry. But after the 2 years, though, a lot of people kind of started putting it to the side as it was important, like it wasn't important. Okay, but it is important, and it's actually a very effective way of ministry. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, so $500 budget. I'm sorry, Doc. I'm sorry, Doc. But I will tell you like this. Now, I'll give you a simple way. I'll give you a very simple way to start. Very simple and effective way to start. Okay, first, you start off by getting a digital mixer. Please update your church's sound. That is very important. If you can, please get a digital mixer. Okay, the difference between a digital mixer and an analog per se in a live setting. Is the capabilities. I know this kind of going over some people's head, but it's the capability and the flexibility to be able to route sound to different avenues and different places, and also it gives you a bigger selection of different EQs and compressors and limiters and gates and stuff like that for you to be able to perfect your sound better than what you would with an analog mixer in a live setting. Now in a studio analog, me personally, I would prefer an analog board. But because of the preamps and tube, all that kind of stuff. But you start off getting a digital mixer because the capabilities. Secondly, you get a camera, okay? Now the camera, it could be, like that camera right there, maybe it's $250 or something like that, $300. But it at least has to be able to shoot 1080p. That's the bare minimum that you want. 1080p will be fine for most different platforms, most different platforms for a very clear signal. They go all the way up to 4K, 8K, whatever. But a solid, decent camera, okay? Secondly, you want to get whatever streaming platform that you want to use. Now, it's got a lot of different streaming platforms, streaming service to use. Now, it has a lot of different ones you can use. You can use Boxcast or Resi or OBS or whatever. But what we use here is called Boxcast. Now, Boxcast is it's a monthly subscription. And the base is $99, but you get all your ability to stream wherever you want to stream, and it's also like a preamp, like an interface. Also, you stream your sound and your video and everything to it. It's a very efficient way to start your live stream, and it's portable, so I can take it anywhere I want. If our church has another service, anything, I could take that little box, hook it up to their mixer, and get live stream from my church anywhere. Yes, sir. Well, Boxcast, BOXCAST. Yes, sir. So a way to stream, and then you'll have to get a switcher. So I know this is going above everybody's head, but a video switcher is, yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead. So a video switcher is basically it's a way to route the signal from your camera to the actual streaming platform. It's just a median to get the signal from the camera into wherever you stream it to the computer or whatever however you're streaming. And then of course cables and stuff like that. But last but not least, last but not least, you need people. Okay, because none of this stuff is going to work without capable people to do the job, or people that's willing to do the job, that want to do the job. I'll tell you like this: some people are against it, and I understand why they are against it. Because in-house, being in the house is a totally different experience than being online. But I'm gonna give you a statistic. Okay, right now, the Christian church, and not just African American Christian, I'm talking about Christianity as a religion, is at an all-time low, 23% in the U.S. 23%, okay? And it's at 23, it's 23% in the U.S., okay? Now, I'm gonna tell you the crazy thing. As of now, 75% of all membership at churches in the U.S. is through online. 75%. So you only have 25% of the 100% of people that are Christians that actually go to church. Now, is that crazy? That's crazy. So live streaming is more vital than anything right now. It's a very important part of church, the whole aspect of church, and it's needed. It's very vital. It's very needed. I didn't want to go into in too deep because I didn't want to talk over everybody's head with this zero ones and zeros talk and compressors and limiters and all that stuff like that. But I want to take questions. Anybody got any questions? Your Q. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, okay, so all right, so it's two different things. It's two different ways that you can eliminate that. Now, the only time you really have a problem with that is if if you're not going directly to the source. Okay, so back here, I'm going directly from the board to the source, to the actual box. So it's not going to be any latency. Now, the number one problem of a latency issue of getting the video and the audio to line up is your bandwidth, your internet. If you don't have strong internet, if you have a strong connection, your video will always lag behind the audio, because it takes a lot more processing of video than audio going to the source, going to the live stream. So, yeah. Yes, sir. Hold on. A legitimate live stream or the capabilities of which one? Okay. Just phone only? Mm-hmm. So you talking about, okay, in an instance like that, it all comes down to so I'm gonna say it like this. If I was at a church and they were doing live streaming by phone or whatever, first I'll have a conversation with them, and the first thing I ask them is, do you want to grow your ministry? Are you comfortable where you at? If they say, oh, we just, we're fine and all this other stuff, it's no point of trying to convince them or have a conversation with them, because that changes. If you want to change, you want to grow, be better, you have to do it for yourself. But if I ask them, would you like to grow? Would you like to do these things, implement these things in your service or in your church to help you grow and help you reach more souls or whatever, and they give me a positive answer, then you go about showing them, hey, what you see right here, this level or this, or who you admire or the church you admire, just for example, a lot of people be like, okay, when they come here, like, boom, Zion Hill. It's the church, it got this, it got that, they got the screens, they got the TVs, boom, 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 boom. Is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to be? The Potter's house. Is that what you want to do? If that's what you want to be, and They like, yes, no, yes, no. Oh, cool. Now, the problem comes in when the cost comes in. That's the problem. So, in a church, so once you be like, okay, well, all of this is going to cost, if you do want this, 10 grand, 20 grand, 100 grand, whatever the case. Most churches, they bag out because they feel it's not a necessity, which at some point it actually is. Because I'm telling you now, the way this world is going, streaming is the thing, which I know we won't like in-house service, but I'm telling you, is streaming is the thing. So when you go to that person, or you go to that church, or you go to that, well, let me not say person, you go to that committee, or you go to that pastor, you present this to them, and you ask them just a simple question. What kind of church do you want to be? What is your vision? They explain their vision, and then you go from there. So, any other questions? Huh? What Wi-Fi we use? Oh, hold on. It's two different things. We talking about what company do we use? We use Suddenlink, Optimum. Yeah. So we use Optimum. Now the speed and everything, that's what I'm saying. The speed and everything, you want at least, well, I ain't gonna say you want at least 30 kbpms, okay, and then you want at least anywhere from 150 to 250 bandwidth. Basically, all it is just the power and the velocity and the speed of how much you want and how fast you want it, how fast you need it. So that's it. The bandwidth of the number, so anywhere between 150 and 250 for your bandwidth. And you want anywhere from 30 to 40 kbps, which is, like I say, is what you want, how much power you want, and how fast you want it. That's it. So, and another thing too, churches, please, if you do got the budget, don't be scared to make those changes and spend that money. It's a lot of churches that want to do these things and want to have the equipment and the cameras and all that, but they don't spend the money. If you have the money, spend the money. If you have the money, spend the money. You got a church and whatever, and y'all got $100K whatever in the bank or whatever, and it's just sitting there, and you could be doing something with that money to help yourselves and help the community. You spend the money. Spend the money. Yes, sir. I mean, look, it is at the end of the day. So, anybody got any questions? I'm talking about, well, as far as anything you want to ask me? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I do installs. Just any music questions, drum questions, it don't matter, anything. Because whatever it is, I can probably answer it.
I don't know if it was you. I think it was you just now, a little while ago, talking about, putting a choir together. Or
yes, ma'am.
You want to go online and you have a group or a choir you want to put together. When you say we're going to start a choir, everybody comes. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I understand that. But
a lot of our churches don't do auditions.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
We don't audition like we would for a professional choir. We just say we're going to start a choir, so everybody comes. So as a musician, how do you say to maybe certain ones, how do you get rid of them if they can't sing?
Well, let me tell you like this.
It's hard to do.
So let me tell you like this. Yeah, because I was finna, it was going to be, his answer going to be a lot nicer than my answer. You don't want my answer, I'm telling you. Yeah, we say that for 10, because my answer, people, that's why people don't. All right, so like I say, if anybody want any more information about this, because this is not really a topic that I can just generalize and tell and explain, and people will understand it. It's more in depth, more. It's not really just that contextual like that. But you can get me at the church. You want to ask me any questions about actual sound, anything sound. Anything you want to purchase, what your church need to purchase, or anything like that, doing installs, anything, questions like that, I can answer more in depth. We can do this afterwards. But I just wanted to talk about basically how the importance of product affects your live stream. That's it, and how to start getting into to your live stream. That's it. Thank you.
Appreciate you on them nuggets, man. Dontare Williams, man, he like you say, he does live stream, sound, plays drums, hopping on the keys now, so he's trying to be the Avengers by himself. But we got last but very not least, Dr. Terence Williams. Chief. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No introduction needed.
Nah, man. How y'all doing? I know we've been talking for a while, so I'll try not to be as long. First off, just want to thank you for doing this, man. We've been talking about this a lot in this area, about coming together and talking, and singers and musicians, and finally somebody had the wherewithal to actually do it. So I think y'all need to give him a hand just for thinking to do that. And also just thinking of me, man, to do this. I'm honored. I got to pay homage to anybody could have done this. Sister Cindy back there, our brother Dontare. I seen Sister Luchette leave. So thank you for that as well, man. But I got to pay homage to these individuals as well. So I'm coming from a unique perspective, I think, because as David said, and I'm glad he didn't tell some of the stories from our youth, because it'll get us in trouble. But as David said, we used to be musicians with the gospel choir at Northwestern, and then I kind of transferred over to singing, and then also I did sound stuff, so I kind of probably am just going to sum it all up to some extent, and open it up for questions at the end, because I think I can probably answer some of them, and if not, it's somebody in the room that can answer most of the questions. So I'm coming from, he wants me to talk about praise and worship and how the flow, right? The flow and how everybody all works together hand in hand, whether that's musicians, whether that's sound crew, whether that's vocalists, the praise and worship leader, et cetera, et cetera. So where do we start? I will say this, number one, because I like word stuff. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, if everybody's not on one accord, it's really hard for God to move in chaos, right? Now, he spoke into chaos, as we know, when he spoke existence in the world, et cetera, et cetera. But as far as the Spirit moving, we always hear the cliche term, the Spirit is a gentleman, and God does things in decency and in order. And if that's why, if you look at 2 Chronicles, it talks about how the glory cloud filled the temple. But the key thing, when the glory cloud filled the temple, every single person was on one accord. Whether that's singers, it specifically says singers. It talks about the musicians, et cetera, et cetera. So if the praise team is here and the musicians are here, the choir is here, the sound man is here, and you're not all working in harmony with one another, then it's going to cause chaos. Make sense? So, and I'm sorry. Oh, you just sneezed. So, we all have to be on one accord, one sound, one mind. And that's when the Spirit does what he's supposed to do. And as we talked earlier, we were talking about, in the atmosphere and things of that nature. And I was answering David's question about, how did I come up with my sound, et cetera, et cetera. My thing is I've always wanted to and still want to make sure that I'm Spirit-led with whatever I'm doing. Because at the end of the day, lives are at stake, right? There's somebody out there that's hurting. There's somebody out there that needs God to do something. There's somebody out there that's seeking certain things, and we have to be the catalyst in order for God to move in that direction to make that happen, right? So when I think of the singers, the musicians, and all of that playing as one, and setting the atmosphere, I look at all of the aspects of Sunday morning worship and ministry, because that's what I'm speaking in reference to when I'm talking about praise team and all of that. We are atmosphere setters and creators. You should really be a spiritual thermostat in the house. If you're not a thermostat, then what are you doing up there? What I mean by that is you create and set the atmosphere in which God can move and does what he does best, right? It ain't really what we're doing. He's just using us to do that in the earth realm, right? So, and you have to be very aware of all of those aspects of things. Dontare spoke about the sound. My sound people know. And by the way, we're overhauling our live stream right now because it sounds horrible in my opinion, okay, because of the things that he spoke about. But when I look at sound, what type of reverb is being done, that matters. If I know back in the back, Tyrik, he talked about layering and things of that nature. If you layering this analog, but it goes with this, does that go with this brass to help create this atmosphere? If I'm singing, is what and the way I'm singing gonna create an atmosphere for God to move? If the answer is no, you have to really rethink what you're doing and how you're doing it, okay? Because it's hard for anything, not just God to move, but anything to function in the wrong atmosphere. That's why you don't see alligators in Canada, right? That's why you don't see desert animals in a rainforest, because they can't survive. That's why the FDA in the United States says only certain plants can come into the United States, because it can disrupt the atmosphere of the U.S. because we don't have those plants. Okay, same thing in the spirit realm. If you start to insert certain things that won't fit in the atmosphere that you're trying to create, you're going to cause problems and you're out of order. Make sense what I'm saying? So I always tell people all the time, if I'm leading praise and worship, I'm really the general or captain of what's going on. But you need all of the different members of this branch of the military to go forth into battle. If the general just go out there by himself, he's going to get fried and popped. You have to have infantrymen. You have to have Air Force. You have to have people that's coming from the water. All of these people play a significant role, and no role is greater than the other role. Okay? The praise team member that's singing background is just as important as the person that's leading. This keyboard player is just as important as this drummer. And I know we always have this sometimes fight between pulpit and praise and worship. We sometimes have a fight between musicians in the band and the praise team or the worship leader. But we all got to work in harmony to make things happen in this spirit realm that I'm talking about. And I guess you can say, well, how do we do that? Okay, first of all, by having these type of conversations. Or having the conversations, and one of my people reminded me, leave your ego at the door. Last time John came and played with us, he saw me in rare form. I was, nope, we ain't doing this, you do this, da, da, da. But it's because it's for the greater good of what we're trying to do. If you got an ego, and I know he spoke about arrogance a few minutes ago, he can't really use you how he wants to use you if you have this spirit upon you that's not conducive for how he wants you to be. You're supposed to operate in a spirit of humility. We all trying to do the same thing, which is praise, worship, honor God, bless his people. The Bible talks about gifts and how the Holy Spirit gives gifts as he sees fit. Here's the thing. It also talks about some of the gifts, even the things you go through, it's not for your own benefit. But the gifts are given to you because it's first to glorify God, but to bless his people is next. It's not for your own self, whatever. I'm lofty. I like to say lofty. I'm this, I'm that. It's really given to you to bless his people, period. And I think sometimes we get outside of that aspect of what we do, and that's when we start getting the arrogance and, oh, I can do this and this person can't do this, or I can do this, okay? But what you're doing, is it conducive for the Spirit to move in this type of atmosphere? If not, throw it out, period. Okay? Now, what else did I want to talk about? Praise and worship people, vocal people. Q, he said something earlier. He's like, there's this expectation that the musicians, you real up here, but for the singers, the expectation is real low. The worst and best thing that could have happened to me was exposure. And I say the best things because when I started exposing myself, or God gave me the opportunity to be exposed, or I was exposed, I seen other things, other people, etc. But it was the worst thing also for some of the churches that I came back to, because now my mindset changed and my expectation started to grow. And I'm not going to back down with that expectation if I know I serve a God that is excellent. He does things excellent. Okay? Now, to Ms. Lachette's question, I will sometimes address certain things or tweak that expectation dependent upon what I have to work with. There's little things that you can do to disguise things or to, because everybody's at different levels. Even in Christ as we grow, right? Everybody's at different levels. You're going to have some singers that can really sing you under the table. Then you're going to have some singers that can only sing right here. What do? You have to create a happy medium between the two. Because if you have this expectation on the singers that can't really sing, but they're inherited into your praise team, do you just throw them out? No, you might ruin their life. But you don't have the same expectation of this singer here. So you have to be very creative with how you disguise certain things, and you speak and also put people in the right positions for the things that they can do to shine, okay? With the same understanding that these people that can really, really, really shine, I'm going to have them here to help these other people. Make sense what I'm saying? And everybody is not called to do certain things. Even on the praise team at Zion Hill, going back to what we were talking about the pastor thing, Zion Hill's music department is a direct reflection of our pastor. It's a co-reflection of Terence or Matt, etc. But that's not a direct reflection of just me. How I run Zion Hill's music department is totally different than how I run my own stuff. But people are like, oh man, you don't, No. This is a reflection of the house and the culture of the house, which is the pastor. But what I'm saying is, going back to what I'm saying, so I do things to disguise certain things and to kind of have a happy medium between the two, because if not, you're going to cause frustration, you're going to cause discouragement, et cetera, et cetera. And pray to God. God will give you the insight to know how to do that. He's faithful. He'll do that. But that's kind of my thing, and I want to kind of leave it open for some questions, and we'll just kind of go from there, because I like dialogue, because questions kind of trigger certain things out of me. What you got? Okay, so the transition from being a musician to praise and worship leader, I kind of got thrust into that against my own will. It's one of those things like people say, if you want to make God laugh, let him know your plans type thing. Because first of all, I had no plan to come back to Alexandria. That was number one. But I had no plans of being a singer or a praise and worship leader ever. I thought my first love has always been keys. But there was a need, and I was put in a unique position to where kind of we didn't have anybody to do that. So I started to kind of make that transition. Was it probably a little bit easier because I was a musician first? Yes. But my whole way of approaching things had to change, because now I'm approaching things in the mind of first leader and singer. Another thing with praise and worship leaders, you have to be situationally aware of everything if you're going to be an effective praise and worship leader. My people to tell you, I'm aware of what they're playing. You got to be aware of the house and what's going on with the audience. You got to be in tune with the spirit, right? And that's kind of what that's the thing. When I started to make that transition, I didn't realize all of that type of stuff. When I was with just playing, I had to be aware of course, what the singers were doing, and also kind of what the pastor kind of where he was going. That was really my only thing, you know. But when you're leading praise and worship, you got to be aware of all this stuff at the same exact time. It's a lot. Thank God for strength and the insight. But because Matt is the MD at our church, Matt knows me. It's certain things the audience don't know what's going on. We got a whole conversation going on, and nobody else knows but the two of us and the praise and worship team. But they're used to it. But that's kind of what was the biggest, I guess you can say, difficult thing as far as the transition. Also, I had to do a lot of studying of the word. A lot of people ask me this question. I don't do ad-libs. I can't do them. Okay, always go back to the word if you can't do ad-libs. You never go wrong. It forced me to study more. Because if I'm on stage and I just keep talking about some, you, God, are my strength. Yes, you are. And we talking about a song about strength. Yes, you are my strength. You are my strength, God. Oh, you are my strength. And I'm saying you are my strength 20 times differently. Okay, let's talk about his strength then. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about restoration. If you're doing ad-libs, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You are the solid rock. You're my foundation. You know what I'm saying? I can hide myself into you. So that was another thing, because don't nobody want to hear you just say you are my strength 20 times and it's on repeat. So I had to really get into that aspect of the word, because again, I'm ministering to the people. I'm not just leading a song anymore. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Yes, sir. So that's another thing about awareness. I always look at it 3-part: physical, spiritual, soulish realm, which would also be emotional. So what he just said was, you're talking about, ask your question one more time. Performance. So and even in artistry, I lead praise and worship differently than if I'm somebody asking me to go out and come and sing at their church. It's two different things. That's more of an artistry type thing. But there is an artistry aspect in leading praise and worship, which is speaking to the soulish realm of everybody in the audience, right? So I'm spirit-led, but I'm also emotional. I'm also in tune with the emotions. There's a certain way, me and Matt just talked about this. One of the things I had to clean up, I found myself doing this a lot. Come on, Beardy. Something so simple. I'm switching hands with the mic the whole time I'm leading praise and worship. That can be a distraction, especially on live stream. I have to be aware of that type of stuff. If I'm speaking and I'm saying, I will dance like David danced, but I'm just standing there like this, well, you're singing stuff, but you ain't doing it yourself. You have to match what you're singing, right? If I look back at Matt, only time I'm going to look back at Matt is when I'm doing something or I want him to do something different than what we practice. My total focus, 95% of the time, is going to be on the audience, period. And that speaks to that as well. It's no different also when I'm talking about the soulish realm. If you're at a funeral, right, and you're singing a song, and you singing a song and it's killing, and all of a sudden the family starts to scream and holler, okay, are you going to continue to sing the song, or are you probably going to cut it off? You're probably going to cut it off. You know why? Because you're in tune with the soulish realm and dealing with people's emotions, okay? So if I'm in tune with what's going on, I'm very aware of my movements. I'm aware of my presentation. I'm aware if I just keep looking back at the musicians because I'm using them as a pacifier because I'm not comfortable looking at the audience. I'm just pacifying myself, really. And a lot of people do that. You have to be aware of that, because if not, that becomes a distraction. But you have to do all three of those things at the same time. Spiritually, what is God telling me to tell the people at this moment? Is he telling me to go here and be churchy, or is he telling me to calm down because these people are in worship mode and I need to be aware that they may be getting a breakthrough in this moment? Going back to what the musicians were talking about. If you playing churchy, but I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Jesus, I love you, Jesus, I love you, Jesus. And you, do. First of all, you're out of order because I'm in major and you're in minor. Okay? So if you in minor blues mode, but I'm in major and I'm chilling, we not in sync. And now we have the opportunity. We're affecting what God wants to do and move. But again, that's the spirit. Okay, if the spirit is showing me, just like the other week, I didn't talk to our pastor, but we end up saying the same thing in the song. We were talking about shifting the atmosphere. You know the song, shifting the atmosphere, my worship, my praise. Okay, so at this moment, I'm singing this song and I'm seeing people crying out, and like, bam, okay, God just sent me to talk about Paul and Silas when they were locked up in the jail, right? This goes back to what I was talking about the transition. And then I use in that moment, okay, Matt, come down. All right, so let's talk about Paul and Silas. They're locked up in jail. Then something happened at 12 o'clock. What happened? They started praising and worshiping God. Their atmosphere changed. What happened? The chains fell down. All the stuff. So I was talking about, in that moment, the Spirit showed me, okay, what you're doing through your praise and worship can totally affect the atmosphere. And I use that example and that story in that moment to remind people of how significant their praise and worship. Here's the thing. Paul and Silas wasn't praising and worship to get released. The release was just a byproduct of what they were doing. So God can bless you just because you're doing things that you were already created to do. As a result of them praising and worshiping in that moment, all the chains fell, prisoners can leave. Also, somebody got converted, the guard. You see what I'm saying? So, again, being aware spiritually. Physical side, all right, bam. If physical, what I'm saying is, if these three praise team members are just standing up and the rest of your praise team is shouting like crazy, it's a mismatch. Everybody got to be on one accord. So I need whatever you feel on the inside, like I tell my people, let that be an outward expression. Now, if we all ain't outwardly expressing, cool. If everybody calm, everybody be calm. But I don't need three of y'all running around and the rest of y'all just sitting there looking at your watches, because there's a mismatch. That's physical. If I need Matt, sometimes I tell Matt, he already know, Matt, what does this mean when I do this? Exactly. Strings, atmosphere, bam. The audience don't know it, but I'm in tune with what's going on. And also, on the physical part of the equation, I'll give you another example. Somebody was coming on stage, and I had the people to stop them from coming on stage because they were out of order. But that ain't a good example. But again, the physical part of it is just being aware. Being aware of what's going on in the physical realm. Okay? Yes, sir. No question is stupid. What you got? Well, I think that depends on the culture and climate of your house and whatever the pastor is trying to do with their culture. Some churches are very choir driven, okay, where they don't necessarily need a praise and worship leader. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, my opinion on that, man, again, it just depends on the culture of the house. Like some churches are choir driven. Some churches are pastor controls the entire service driven. Then some churches are praise team driven and they don't even have a choir. You know, now our church, we have both. But So is it essential? It just kind of depends on the situation and what the culture of the house is. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you have a praise team, is it essential to have a leader? I think so, because you have to have somebody to where the buck stops with that person. Because if not, then everybody's just kind of going to be lost and you have no leader. If you don't have a leader, again, you give way for chaos to kind of exist, because then you got everybody looking at each other like, what we do next? I don't know. So somebody got to be in control of the situation. Make sense? Yes, sir, brother.
For those churches in the area
Mm-hmm.
that do not have a music director or who have hired musicians, who in that place determines whether it's being assigned?
I think that in that situation, the pastor needs to let everybody know who that person is. Because again, you give way for conflict and confusion to happen when you don't have somebody calling the shots. Like in our situation, I don't really talk to the band a lot. I leave Matt to do that. But if Matt wasn't there or Matt has to be out, do I talk to the band? Yeah. Do we still have the traditional type of thing like choir president, et cetera? We do at our church. But still, at the end of the day, that person got to call the shots and let everybody know what's going on. Some churches, like when I was younger, when I first started playing, I didn't know I was that person. I didn't know it. Because traditionally, churches looked at the musician as the person. And traditionally, which has changed these days, whoever played keys is looked at as the main person. So the key player picks the songs, does this. The choir president might say, okay, no, we want to sing this, which can cause confusion. But again, I think that there needs to be a clear person or persons to say who's going to call the shots. Period, point blank. That's just my opinion, because if not, then what happens if you have two musicians or a choir president or this person and they don't see eye to eye on issues, certain things? Again, here come chaos. Here come the stifling of the Holy Spirit. Yes, sir, Brother Matt.
To piggyback off what you were saying, I think another thing, especially when it comes to choir officers, I think one thing is understanding what lanes are we running in. So I know in our situation, the majority of the people who are considered presidents or leaders of a certain group have a more logistical
Correct.
situations, while we are, in charge of dealing with the overall music direction. But I think, once that expectation is set, to the point you and I were talking about before, it's easier to be able to fall into that lane because the conversation has been had, the expectation has been set and accepted, and now we can move forward. But that only happens when the conversation happens. If the conversation never happens, then we're just left to our own devices.
Yeah, that's good. What, you had a question? Q? Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great question. So that goes back to what I was saying about being in tune with what's going on, right? Because now we're talking about the spiritual awareness. I got two praise team members right back there, Jessica and T. Brown. They already know it's not. Right now, I'll tell you this. Right now, we have a set that we worked on for this Sunday, right? So we're talking about fighting. So our first song is Let Your Power Fall, but it's the fast version of that. We're segueing from that into Fixed Fight from Jabbar Johnson. Then we're coming from Fixed Fight into And Because God is the Greatest Power, we shall never. So the entire section is about fighting, spiritual fight, spiritual warfare. Here's the thing. My pastor just texted me while we were sitting down. He said, I need y'all to sing this song. It ain't got nothing to do with fighting. So now, guess what I got to do? Do I scratch the entire set that the musicians have been working on all week? I don't. But this is what I told him. Okay, you speaking about this. This is what we're going to do, Pastor. We're going to close with the song that you just said. Okay? But there are also some instances, he'll text me at 2 in the morning on Saturday night and say, scratch everything you did because God has showed me this and we're going to do this. When we get to sound check in the morning, look, this is what we're doing. Now, mind you, I have to be very mindful of, is this something that I know we could do in our sleep, or is this something that's totally out of the wall, we can't do it? If we can't do it, I ain't going to do it. But if it's something I know we can do in our sleep, or that goes back to having a very vast repertoire of things I can pull from. If you want to talk about fighting, spirit, I can give you 5 songs on each subject that I know my praise team can get done. So I'm going to change on Sunday morning in sound check, and sometimes in the service I'll change. They know it because I'm very one of my giftings is spiritual spontaneity. So if it just happened last week, we're singing, and it's like God starts speaking to me while we're singing, and I do like this, and I will bless the Lord, oh my soul, and I just start going into I will bless the Lord. It had nothing to do with what we went over. But in that moment, that's what God was telling me needed to happen. Guess what the title of the pastor's sermon was? I will bless the Lord. It wasn't practiced or nothing, but you have to be very effective and skillful in your instrument, because I can't do that if I don't trust the people behind me to be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm aware of their limitations and know them that labor among you. That's what the Bible says. I can tell you every praise team member, I can tell you all of their weaknesses as well as their strengths, as well as the band. But that comes with being a praise and worship leader. So I know that one of the strengths, like Sister Jessica back there, she's an exalter. If I need exaltation, I'm going to give her the mic. Go exalt. Goes back to what I'm saying. I say all the time, I'm going to write a book called That's All Right, Baby Spirit. Because what happens is, as in Baptist churches, we allow people to operate in something that they're not called to do. And then we applaud them for doing it mediocre or wrong. And you know, we say, that's all right, baby, let him use you, go. No. He don't need to use you in this area because this is not your strength. So why are you praying to God to do something that's out of order? You feel what I'm saying? So if I know she's an exalter, I'm going to let her exalt. I'm not going to tell her to sing this ballad, even though she can. But if I know, brother, his name is Terence, but we call him T. Brown because we got the same name. One of the things he helps out with is he makes sure the words on the screen and things of that nature. He leads a couple of songs, but I ain't got to worry about the words being on the screen. He got it. So again, but that comes from knowing the limitations and strengths of your people. So to go back, Q, I know Matt can go to I will bless the Lord. I trust him to do it. I trust him to bring the strings up when I need them in the atmosphere as well, and he's going to do what I need him to do. If I don't feel comfortable, I'm not going to do that. So, another question? Yes, ma'am. Okay. It's hard. That's one of the reasons why some people know Brother Keontae. He's from Shreveport, Keontae Mills. If I got to go somewhere, Keontae going. You know what I'm saying? That reason. But if you're not able to bring a musician with you or whatever, I go back to what Q was asking us over there. There's this expectation, again, that the musicians here and the singers here is not. They, don't make me shame. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. What's the 4? Correct. Okay, so she just sung the 4. Do, re, mi, fa. Okay, you know why she could do that? Because I make sure they know what them numbers are. Mm-hmm. Right. Go ahead. What's the answer? So, yeah. So again, that's what I'm doing is I'm raising the expectation and the spirit of excellence in the singers. So it's no thing that Sister Jessica know what a 4 is because I've been training them. You better know these numbers because you may be in a situation where you're at a guest church and you don't know what key you sing in. Or you don't know to go to the 4, et cetera, and you're not able to communicate when we're talking about different languages. Musicians be communicating in this language and singers communicate in this language. There has to be some type of, again, happy medium between the two. So if I know that, I can tell somebody else no matter where I go or a musician, I need you to go to C sharp. I'm going to be singing How Great Is Our God. Boom. Okay, put me in C sharp, whether he transposing or not. Put me in C sharp. Okay? But if you don't have the general understanding of what that means, you can't speak that language. That's why it's very important for musicians and singers to talk and also exchange, like he was saying earlier, iron sharpens iron. So they will know how to be prepared in any type of situation that you find yourself in. If you don't have preparation and you find yourself in a situation, you ain't gonna know how to get out of that situation or be effective. So, Sister Jess, I would say you have to have some type of general understanding of music and what's going on in order to speak that language to others. And if not, it's gonna be very difficult to speak to a musician and try to get them to do what you're trying to get them to do without being able to speak that language. Mm-hmm. Is it rude to then ask them not to play? No, sir. It's rude. It's rude if you're rude in doing it. I think with everything, again, it comes with relationship. It's about the perception of the presentation of what you're giving somebody when you're trying to get them to do certain things, right? I can tell you, shut it off. Now my presentation is going to give you the perception that I'm being rude, and that's awful. And now it becomes a thing of the musician, you embarrassing me on purpose, and it's making it look like I'm the problem, and it may be you the problem because you don't know what key you're supposed to be in. So you start to get into that fight again. But if I say something like, first of all, I'd have heard you play during the service, so I know if you can play or not. If you can't play, I'm going to just stop you from jump when I get up there. I'm going to sing this a cappella. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much. Y'all give the musicians a hand. Amen. Hallelujah, salvation and glory. No music. You see what I'm saying? That presentation is a lot better than me popping you and doing all this, making this big scene. You know what I'm saying? Now, is there some situations to where I may start a song and then I hear the music, do, 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 and they trying to figure it out? I may give them a bar or two to try to figure it out. If they ain't got it in them 2 bars, I'm going to be like, just 1 second, let me go here. Father, again, I'm chilling. I ain't bringing embarrassment to you in that moment. And that's a lot better digestible than if you try to purposely embarrass me or if my perception is that you're trying to do that. Make sense? Other question?
You're
Yeah.
gonna come out, probably creates a back and forth, a tug of war. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that has a lot to do with the individual, where you are physically, spiritually, in that capacity in worship. So my question is this: speaking of our praise team, how do you? Me personally, I could say, okay, we need. There's a need for a praise team at my church.
Sure.
I feel like that's personal because maybe that's taking some of the work off of me in the capacity I can do. So how do you choose? I mean, where do you draw that from to know?
To know the praise team members?
No.
Or just to know it's needed? Again, I'm going to ask the pastor, what's his vision? If he want a praise team, let's make it happen. If he don't want a praise team, it don't matter if you want to do it or not. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? But you can have a conversation. If you feel God has showed you that y'all need a praise team, let's see if it's in line with the God has showed Pastor. Have a conversation with him. Hey, Pastor, look, I feel like we really are in need of a praise team as opposed to just a choir. So in addition to, what are your thoughts about that? And see what he says. If he says, yeah, let's go with it, now you go into the aspect of who's going to be on the praise team. You feel what I'm saying? Because everybody don't need to be on the praise team. So what's that process, which part? Picking praise team people. Again, there's different levels, man. Like I just told you, with our praise team, every single person on our praise team can't lead praise and worship. I may even let them lead songs, but it's a difference between leading songs and leading praise and worship. So you have to be very mindful. If even with the praise team person, first of all, you got to be skillful. I don't have time. With our choir, I come to our choir rehearsal and I teach music, etc. When I come to praise team rehearsal, we're rehearsing music. There's a difference. Because the expectation for the praise team is you already know this stuff because you have the skill that you've already picked out your parts and you know what's going on. So when we get to rehearsal, we're rehearsing. I'm not teaching nothing, like talking about it. Because there's an expectation that you're supposed to know. If you're not able to just even pick out your own parts, you can't be on the praise team at this expectation. You can go sing in the choir. Because I have 50 people, I can disguise wrong voices and wrongness more than I can on the praise team with 6. See what I'm saying? So that's number one. Number two, how's your spiritual walk? Like, because I don't have time to, which I still do, but you got to be at a level. Here's the thing, man. Praise and worship on Sundays for us, that's just a byproduct of what I'm doing during the week. You just happen to get a glimpse of what's going on in my own personal prayer and worship time. And you just benefiting from it. But really, it's not because I see people do this all the time. Father, I love you, da, da, da. And they just going in, and it's just me. Praise and worship is corporate. All I'm doing is leading all of y'all to a place corporately together. It's not my time of I'm just going to sing praises to God on my own. Do that at home. See what I'm saying? My responsibility is to the congregation. So again, going back to skill and spirit walk, you got to be spiritually mature enough to handle that type of platform and walk in that type of anointing to be on the praise team. You have to be flexible. You have to be humble. When I say flexible, it goes back to what I was saying. Can you sing and drop on a dime and change something? If you can't, because we're going to be spirit-led, and sometimes that's going to go against the grain of whatever the practice was. Also, are you spiritually matured not to be offended when I tell you that you're not singing today, or you're not leading this song, or you're not leading praise and worship? And one would say, well, who are you? Well, I'm the person who the pastor and God has put in this position at this moment. You may even know more than me, but you're not in this position. That goes back to authority and also who God has appointed to do certain things, which you start getting into anointing and thing. I hear musicians say this all the time, man. The gift of God is without repentance. I could play, God ain't going to use, that's cool. The anointing ain't. You feel me? The gifts of God are without repentance. You can do whatever you want with the gift. But Saul got the anointing removed. You feel me? And then David was anointed while Saul was still in office. You feel me? So can you be spiritually matured and humble enough? Because why was Saul getting so upset? Saul got mad off of a song, bro. Saul killed thousands, but David killed. Oh my God, I'm jealous now. My humility is gone. I'm thinking upon myself. So can you be humble enough to walk in the role in this season of what God wants you to do? I ain't always been in a praise and worship leader role. I started off as a musician. Then I moved to this. Then I moved to this. And God gave me the ability to do this and be exposed to this. It was seasons, though. It didn't just happen overnight. I sit under people. I glean from people like Fred, from Dave, from all these other people. You see what I'm saying? But it was a process, and it was different seasons. So this may be your season of singing background vocals. You got to be comfortable and okay with that. If you're not, you ain't ready for the praise team because you're going to get your feelings hurt. You feel me? So that's the things that I would be looking at in the praise and worship person. Now, again, when we're talking about praise and worship leading, it goes back to what I'm saying about those things that you got to be aware of. You got to have all those things and be capable of operating in all of them at the same time. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. It should be at a certain aspect. Like John was saying when he was speaking in reference to, I think one of the lady, I'm not sure whose son or something. Like he was saying earlier, you start getting to, and me and Dave was just talking a few minutes ago, and I was like, man, we OGs now. You start getting to a point of, okay, who can I pour into at this point that's going to come? Now, if you just holding it on and you're just doing this, it goes back to what he was saying about pouring out. That's an aspect of it. You should always constantly be looking for people that you can also pour into. Because it's not so much, oh, I'm about to be fired in 2 years, or oh, I can't do this no more. It's just that you want to get, like I just told, he back there. He was just like, man, I want to come holler at you. Okay, such as I have, I give, bro. Let's do it. You can come Thursday at 4:30. Now, I know some musicians, they be like, nah, man, I don't know what that chord was I played. I'm blind. I don't know what it was. I know some musicians like that. They just want to hold on to the gift. But again, I just told you, the gifts ain't given for your own self-glorification. It's to glorify God and to bless his people. You bless God's people by also stirring up the gift in them. How do I do that? I'm going to show you what I know. I'm going to talk about these things. I tell people all the time, if I got to be out, I can tell you if it's been good leadership, all glory to God. If the praise team can still function with me being gone, better than at the same level or better, I done my job. Because I don't want the praise team to be dependent upon a person. A lot of churches are caught up in worshiping personalities. That's why when the pastor do something wrong or they mess up or they whatever, it's like, oh my God, the whole world has come to an end. That's because you were worshiping the personality. You see what I'm saying? Don't worship the personality, even in Terence. No. It's not about me at the end of the day. It's about God. Whether I'm in the picture or not, God is still going to use people for him to be exalted, and the show going to go on. But I want to make sure that I'm equipping the people for the show to go on with what he's given me. And you just pay it forward. So I commend you, John, for letting the little dude, as he said, we used to sit up under people and do that. I'll be out of order if I don't invest in somebody else the same way. So, what you got? Mm-hmm. Sure. Dude, you got some good questions. I asked David, I say, man, David, is his questions AI generated? Because I'm like, this dude got. So the thing is, man, what I would say to that is, because before I went back into the workforce, and Tanya was like, "Oh, I want to have kids and all this stuff," I was just doing full-time music for like 7 years. Nobody even knew that. Like from like 2007 all the way to, actually it was like 5 years. And I was just doing full-time music. So number one is going back to how much are you willing to sacrifice and invest in yourself to make the best product available, and also to, I won't say, that's a bad word, I won't say prostitute yourself, but I will say to put yourself out there to show what your worth is, so other people can see that worth and want you to be a part of what they're doing and pay you to do it. You feel me? Now, during that time, I had to make myself marketable. Now it's way easier because you got YouTube. Mind you, I'm like Dave, I don't like social media. People be asking me to post. I be like, I don't feel like it. I don't got it. But you got YouTube now that you can get money from. You got all these different platforms, but you got to invest, going back to what Dontare was saying, in the equipment that's going to give you the best product for you to put yourself out there in a good way. Right now, I told you, we overhauling our entire live stream because it's not giving the same product that's in the house at our church. We got to put some investment into that. But am I willing to do that? Okay, now that I'm willing to do that and invest in myself, all this is going to do is create more money in the long term, because now I have other people that are willing to invest in me. So when I first started out, bro, I was doing BGVs. Like for Micah, okay, I'm doing BGVs for him. The whole time, though, guess what I'm doing every time we go out? I'm networking with all these other people. So I use that as an opportunity to network with other people. So if Judith McAllister called me and say, I want to come sing, bam, you're going to pay me to do it. You already know what I'm capable of because you see it. So I would say financial advice, don't spend your money. First of all, invest in yourself. Don't spend money that you don't have. And then take some financial classes that'll let you know what you need to do with the money that you're doing so you can make more money from it. Mind you, I'm sorry, y'all, this is not a money thing, but at the same time, he's asking me about investing with the talent that God has given you. I think there is a place for that, to be honest with you. Whether it's like Q was saying, he do other gigs, et cetera, et cetera. But again, you got to put yourself out there and spend money to make money. I'm always a person about spending money to make money, period, especially when it comes to music ministry. I was telling, I think, Jessica the other day, again, that comes with humility. I wanted to get into Pro Tools. And man, remember this. I was like, I don't know nothing about Pro Tools. This other guy I know, he said he'd give me all this Pro Tools equipment. And he was in Houston. I drove to his house. He was supposed to give me Pro Tools and all this stuff. I end up staying the entire evening looking at him build a cabinet for a church. I was hot. Okay? And I was supposed to give him like $1,200. Right? Here's the thing though, humility. I stayed with him until 2 in the morning and he built this cabinet. And then I left because my aunt was staying in Houston. I left and he was like, man, I'm gonna get with you tomorrow. The next day, I gave him my computer. When I came back, he had $15,000 worth of stuff on my computer for free. And you know what he told me? He said, bro, you were willing to invest in yourself, but also I just wanted to see your response and your reaction from me just building this cabinet and how you was going to respond from it. I could have cussed him out, but I didn't. I just was like, yeah, man, I'll chill with you for the cabinet. Now in my mind, I'm like, man, this is crazy. I just drove 4 hours for this dude to do this. But because of my humility and my willingness to invest in myself, he gave me $15,000 worth of stuff for free. See what I'm saying? And then he was like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to show you all this type of stuff. Then I invested in myself. Matter to tell you, I used to stay up till 4, 5 in the morning just learning Pro Tools over and over for weeks until I learned it. But me learning it now opened up another stream of income, because guess what people was calling me to do? They was calling me to track BGVs. I can't come to you. I'll track it in my house. So I'm like on 15 albums right now that I track BGVs in my house. And I got paid to do it. But if I didn't learn Pro Tools and invested in myself, I can't do it. Are you prepared? Everybody's talking about when you get the call, but are you prepared for the call? See what I'm saying? If you ain't prepared when you get the call, it's just a call. Because you're going to have to turn it down because you can't fulfill whatever somebody's asking you to do. First time I was on a major album, bro, it frightened me to death. You know why? Because in 2 days, 3 other tenors got sent home on the plane. Thank you for your service. We will not need you further. In 2 days. And this was at the studio. I was like, oh my God, I'm next. But here's the thing. I had stayed up for nights straight preparing myself for this situation. See what I'm saying? But it all goes back to monetary investment, but also spiritual investment and soulish realm investment. Back to them 3 things I talked about. You know the story. I mean, you see the glory like people say, but it's a crazy story. It is insane. Any other questions? Mm-hmm.
As a tax person, when you guys are getting this income from these sources and these different streams and these different areas of revenue, they're not taking taxes out of that money, but you got to pay taxes on that money.
Most definitely.
There is a way to offset it. You pay in estimated taxes, pay in quarterly taxes, but also track your spending. Document everything that you're spending money on. As you're investing, document that. Because those are tax write-offs, and that will reduce that income and reduce your tax liability. So, you know, again, the responsibility, be responsible with what you're given, and keep proper records so that there is no question, yes, this is what I did with this money, so let me write this off, let me not pay as much taxes as I would have to, and it wouldn't be as much of a burden. So,
That ain't little. That's big. That's big. Y'all give her a hand. And I'll say to piggyback off of that, and I was gonna get to this as well, but you helped me to segue to it. I got an LLC. I would tell every musician singer to get an LLC to do what she just said. So in my house, my wife does our taxes. We have a guy that does just the business taxes. I don't care if my clothes go in the cleaner. It's getting written off from my LLC. When somebody pay me to do something, they're not paying Terence Williams, they're paying 12 Ministries. See what I'm saying? Because I keep it separate for those reasons. Because I can write it off at the end of the year and I'm keeping track of everything going on. If I ain't got an LLC, it's all coming back to me and it's going to be a problem. So I keep it separate. So that's a little nugget. I'm glad you said that. Thank you so much. Yeah, we got some tax people. Jessica does taxes too. Both of them. Yeah, there you go. So LLC, bro. Straight up LLC. And people would say, oh, get your 501c. Because that goes into a whole nother situation. When you start, don't do that. Like if you, musician, LLC. Don't go into the whole non-profit. You lying. Y'all got anything else, man? I've been up here for a minute. That's a lot. If you want me to come to the church, I'll come for a fee. No, just holler at me. No, oh, you got something, man? Oh, okay, cool. I'm good, man. Thank y'all.
Yeah, that would end our discussion part. We can get up and move around a little bit, meet and greet maybe. We're gonna come back with, if anybody wanna sing anything, you know, if the guy gave you a heart on you, put a song in your heart, do it. But me and my bros, we finna come and after the meet and greet, we got a couple of tracks or 8-track to play. But yeah, y'all can get up, move around, or talk to people. They might have refreshments. I think the refreshments are ready in the back. I think so. You You on? Okay. I think they ready in the back. Yeah, yeah. So if y'all want to get your refreshments, go through this door to my right, your left. And we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Do this last little performance and benediction. Appreciate y'all for coming out, man. All y'all. Every last person here, I appreciate y'all. You got a song on your heart, Dr. Q? Also, don't leave. We got, like I said, we got the performance coming up next. Y'all, if you want to watch on the live stream, cool. But don't leave, though. Don't leave. whispers in the midnight or something, ladies and gentlemen, whatever we call. Real talk, whispers in the midnight. Shoot, if y'all boys want to shed or it's up to y'all, man. If y'all boys want to shed, jump on anything, feel welcome, sing. Whatever your heart's desire. Brother Terence, somebody calling for you, Doc. Yes, somebody.